Okay, oops, the wrong one. Hello, can everybody hear me? I hope you're all doing okay. And yeah, can you guys hear me clearly? Can you see me clearly? Yeah. Thank you for joining the live stream today. Nice to see you, Eddie, Knots, you know, on both sides, Hello Talk and YouTube. Thank you very much, Knots, for the answer. And yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. And what was it? Eddie says, when are you going to arrive in Japan? So I'm going to arrive, I think I'm flying next Tuesday. So it's just like 3 or 4 days. So I'll be flying very soon. So I'm super excited. But I've got a lot of packing to do. So yeah, I'll do my best. But I'm quite a lazy person. But the good news is that I don't have any more lessons for next week and the weekend. So I'm just going to be having family dinners and just packing all of this stuff. You probably can't see it right now, but there's a lot of like electronics that I have to take with me. So yeah, it's a pain in the neck, but there we go. But yeah, how are you all doing? Nice to see you, Hannah. Nice to see you. Um, I hope you're all doing well and having a nice evening in Asia. If you're in Europe, maybe it's the afternoon. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Okay, great. So yeah, I don't have, what was it? Today we're going to be doing a few games depending on how many people there are. But we'll see. Right now, it's just starting. And yeah, so Knots, you said you normally have school on this day, so it's good you can join us today. Maybe you can give a few answers for us in the games today. But yeah, and how is everything in your countries? You know, how's the weather? Anything new? Have you been studying English recently? But yeah, so as you can probably see, I've done my hair. We call this a perm. You know, I've never done my hair before. I asked my auntie to do it for me, and it feels very weird just looking at myself in the mirror because I've never done this before. But, you know, just trying something new. Try it before I leave the UK. So, but yeah, there we go. Alright, so we'll wait for a few more minutes just for people to come in because today we're going to do a lot of vocabulary games and it would be better if we have more people. So I'll just wait a few minutes for more people to come in. Not says weather's good but it's too hot. Oh my gosh. Can you remind me what country you are from? That might help me understand your situation a bit better. But yeah, here in the UK, it's been pretty cloudy recently. A week ago, it was sunny, like for 2 weeks straight. But these days, it's gotten a bit cloudy and a bit of rain, so not great. Ah, Russia. So Knots is from Russia. What was it? It's a huge country, so I guess the weather in one part of Russia might be completely different to another, so... good luck with, you know, dealing with the heat. Does anyone have any tips for dealing with the summer heat? I mean, it's still spring for most countries, but maybe because of global warming and other things, maybe things are speeding up a bit, but okay. You live near to Moscow. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, because when I imagine Russia, I always think quite a cold country, but Ah, the umbrella. Very good, Hannah. Yeah. I think, does anyone know what we call an umbrella for the sun? Yeah. Usually we might bring this to a beach. Let me quickly get my notes ready so we can note down some vocabulary for today's lesson. I say lesson, but it's going to be very relaxed, very, you know, just a casual chat. So it's not like a formal lesson, but... Sunshade, that's a good idea, Hannah. It's not a sunshade, but good idea. We actually... Eddie says it's getting hot already and it's still the middle of April. Exactly, right? It's quite scary. Especially depending on your country, you can have a very humid summer or you can have quite a dry summer. I think in the UK here, it's pretty dry and there's a lot of wind, which is really nice. But in Japan, it's quite humid and, you know, sticky and you have to take like 2 showers a day. It's not great. But before I forget, the name of an umbrella for the sun is actually called a parasol. A parasol, yeah. Which is an umbrella for the sun. Oops. So there we go. Parasol is a nice word for the summer. There we go. Okay, great stuff. But yeah, Lacey, very good. Well done. Parasol, exactly. Not says we have bears as pets. Is that really true? I can't imagine Russian people, you know, taking care of bears as pets. That's just crazy to me. But there we go. All right. Hannah says, here, I need to take 2 showers a day too. Yeah, it's, you know, some people like to take a shower in the morning, but others like to take a shower in the evening. Like, which are you? For me, if I'm going out to work, you know, to the office or something like that, I definitely feel like I want to take a shower after I come home, especially after like COVID, when you're like touching like public transport and things like that. Japan is very clean compared to the UK, I would say. But even then, you know, you sweat naturally, so you don't want to get into your own bed with, you know, a dirty body. So of course, I would say showering in the evening is better, but a lot of people, you know, take a shower to wake up in the morning, You know, some people even take cold showers, which me, no thank you. That's too much. Oh, ugh. Just thinking about it makes me like shiver. But yeah, are you a morning shower person or an evening shower person? Like, let me know. But just a joke, but I know some of these people nuts. Very good. Well done, Knots. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I guess if you like feed the bear and have, you know, a long relationship with it, but nah, that's still crazy. But Nancy, nice to see you. Evening, definitely interesting. Yeah, I feel like most people are evening shower people, maybe. But actually, here in the UK, maybe it's a morning. Most of my friends are morning shower people, so maybe it's a cultural thing. But anyway, morning because of school. Oh, interesting. I feel like I want to sleep in. I want to sleep and then just, you know, go to school. I want that extra sleep instead of, you know, getting up earlier to take a shower. So I understand why, but I still feel like evening is better. For me, anyway. All right. So Nancy says, it takes time to do my hair in the morning. Oh, I do think it's really difficult for women, especially because, you know, putting on makeup and you want to look nice, right? For men, we're lucky. We don't have to put on makeup. I mean, some people do, you know. I think especially in Korean fashion, men do put on makeup, I've heard. But what was it? Generally, for women, they usually have longer hair. They have to, you know, brush their hair. And it's a lot of work, I think. So us men, we take it for granted. One of my friends I was talking to earlier, my Japanese teacher, she said that, oh, now that you have a perm, you don't have to worry about taking care of your hair in the morning. So we call it, does anyone know, when you wake up in the morning, you have like messy hair and it's all like sticking up? There's a special name for this kind of hair. Does anyone know? I'll give you a clue. It's the hair that you get after waking up, right? So something about waking up, or maybe something about your bed, maybe? I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anybody got it? We would call this bed hair. Bed hair. Yeah. The messy hair you have after getting out of bed in the morning. Yeah. So when, you know, somebody has really messy hair, and then you might say to your friend or your brother, you might say, by the way, you have bed hair, you should probably clean it up before you go out, or something like that. So yeah, bed hair is a pain in the neck. But if you have a perm, like me now, then it doesn't stand out so much, luckily. But yeah. Not says, I just have short hair. I have no problems with it. Yeah, short hair is a lot easier. But there we go. Nancy says, you were born in the UK? That's right. I was born and raised here in the UK. Okay. All right, so shall we begin with today's warm-up games? Today we're going to do a few games to help you, you know, use a bit more English and take part in the stream, because a lot of my streams, it's very one way. Yeah, I teach you a bit of English, and of course you guys comment a lot, and it's super helpful, and it makes my job a lot easier. So thank you so much. But I want to give you a chance to, you know, give some answers, practice your English. And I know that speaking on stage is super scary, so speaking just in the comments, just writing some comments is totally fine. All right? Okay, so let's move on to today's presentation. Give me a moment to get this ready. So, Alt, Shift, F5, let's have a look at today's lesson. This is the wrong one, don't worry. It is not the special guest podcast. We're going to change to this one. Okay, so our first game for today, let me quickly change the screen. Our first game for today will be the Name 10 game, okay? So this is super simple. It's kind of similar. If you were here for the last live stream, we did the Scattergories game, okay? So today, I'm going to give you a category, but there will be a limited amount of time, maybe just like 20 seconds, for example, so very short, okay? I want you to name 10 things that fit the category. So 20 seconds, fruit, go. You're going to name 10 fruit as fast as you can. You're going to write your answers in YouTube or HelloTalk, and you're going to write your answers as fast as you can. Okay, so not much time to think. The first letter, anything. It could be A, it could be E, but it has to fit the category. Okay, so let's just do a quick warm up. Let's go with food. Food. One word. I want you to name 10 foods, or as many as you can, in 20 seconds. Okay, so let's do this together. So I'm going to get my notepad ready. Let's have a look here. Okay, so 20 seconds. Let me get the timer. Sorry, I should have prepared this. Okay, right. So a timer. Let's go for 20 seconds. Oh, wrong one. Let's go for here. Okay, are we all ready? So let's go for food. 20 seconds. Write down as many as you can. 3, 2, 1, go. I feel like food was a bit too easy. This one's difficult, actually. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, stop there. So when you're ready, you can answer and leave your answer in the comments. So for example, for me, I got, this was actually very messy. Pizza, fish and chips, borscht, a Russian dish, porridge. Oops, I spelt it wrong. It should be P-O-R-R-I-D-G-E, and then fruit. Yeah, fruit, I'm not sure about this one, but something like this, okay? So I hope you guys are ready to do the next one. You're just going to name 10 things as fast as you can. Now, I know that it takes some time to type the answers, so I'll give you 30 to 40 seconds. Yes, knots. Borscht came into my mind, so there we go. All right, so the first category, let's have a look. The first one will be countries. Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to name as many countries as you can. Be careful with the spelling as well, okay? Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, countries. Okay, 20 seconds, just as many as you can. 15 seconds. This is really difficult. Of course. And then 3, 2, 1, and stop writing, please. Okay, so how did you guys do? How many did you get? Very good. Ooh, Alessa. I recognize that name. Okay, so I'm going to read my answers first. I got Russia, America, the UK, Portugal, Spain, Croatia, Ukraine, Brazil. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, almost 10. Okay, let's have a look at some of your answers. You guys got, what was it? Russia, Ukraine, Germany, Italy, Sri Lanka, Japan. Oh, very good. Wow, you guys are quick. And then we have China, the UK, USA, France, Russia, Egypt, Morocco, Japan. Wow, you guys are so quick. I think a lot of you did a lot better than I did. Yeah. It's really difficult, isn't it? When you know you have a short time, the obvious answers don't come up so quickly. So yeah, this is a difficult one. Very good. Well done. And good spelling, guys. I don't see many mistakes with spelling. Good job. All right, so let's have a look at the next one. Are you guys ready? So, 30 seconds. Let's give you 40 seconds because the spelling might be difficult for you. Okay. Oh, this is difficult. 3, 2, 1. I want you to give me as many US presidents, the names of US presidents, as you can. Okay? I'll give you 40 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, I know. How is your history? Okay. 25 seconds. Uh-oh. Ten seconds. Who else? Oh, what's his name? Okay, I forgot. Okay, and stop there. Thank you very much. How did you guys do? So, my answers were, I only got 4. I got Richard Nixon. Is it Richard Nixon? Abraham Lincoln, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. These 2 are relatively easy, right? Because they were very recent. What did you guys get? Anything? No answers? Or maybe people are still typing? Because I believe most people study at least a bit of US history in school. Though in the UK, did we study US history? Probably not so much. But yes, I only know their last name. Last names is okay too. That's totally fine. It doesn't have to be the full name. Abraham or Lincoln, Obama, Trump. That's okay. But yeah, okay. All right, let's move on. If there are no more answers, let's have a look. This one is quite interesting. I'm going to give you a minute for this one. Let's have a look at a few foreign loanwords. Foreign loanwords. Now, let me quickly explain. Foreign loanwords are words that come from another language. Okay, so in English, as you know, there are so many, how do I say it, words that we borrow from other languages. One example would be déjà vu. Déjà vu, which is a French word, I believe. Is it French? Yes. Déjà vu meaning it's a feeling that you've seen or experienced something before, right? So like you go to a place and you think it's the first time you've been there, and then you look and you say, huh? Wait, I'm getting déjà vu. Have I been here before? Or have I met this person before? It's like that kind of feeling, yeah? So this is one foreign loan word in English, okay? So I'm going to give you 1 minute to think of as many foreign loan words in English as you can. They come from another language, okay? Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. Foreign loan words. 1 minute. What should I do? Let's see. Don't worry too much about the spelling. Foreign loan words. I should know. So many. What's the word? Maybe this one's too difficult. This is difficult even for me. 20 more seconds. Foreign loan words. Oh, what's the word? I only got 4. Okay, and stop there. So thinking about, you know, words from your country, maybe that were translated into English, what did you guys get? Okay. Interesting. Some interesting comments. Those are really good ones. I didn't... Oh, you guys had so many good answers that I didn't think about. Okay, right. I'm going to share my answers first. So I had tsunami from Japanese. Karaoke is also from Japanese. I don't know if this is a far... Sympathetic is also French. Sympathetique. I think, something like that. Schadenfreude is German. It's a feeling of like you are happy when something bad happens to someone else. But yeah, I didn't get many. What about you guys? Let's have a look. So we had from Knots, tsunami, very good, nice. There are a lot of words that are foreign in Russian. Interesting. Okay, thank you very much. And then we have Hannah says emoji. That's a good one. Emoji, which is Japanese for like well, that picture, the emoticon. Emoticon is another word, but emoji comes from Japanese. Entrepreneur. Oh, that's a good one. Deja vu as well. Alessandra means bon appetit, mukbang, cafe, taco. Yeah, pretty much any food, I guess you could call a foreign loan word. Yeah, but bon appetit is a good one. I just remembered one. Gesundheit. Gesundheit. It means like bless you in German, I think. So I just thought of one. Very good. And then mukbang is a good one. Petite is very nice. Yeah, petite meaning kind of thin, small. And then I did get a haircut. Thank you, Naughty Goal. Doppelganger is another good one. Is that German? I think it might be German. Yeah. But thank you, August. A lot of compliments on the haircut. Thank you very much. Voyage, very nice. They often say bon voyage or something like that. We don't really use it, but I've heard of it in English as well. So very good. And then you know Roblox. What do you mean Roblox? I know it's a game, but very good. Well done, guys. Okay, right. So let's move on to the next one. I think there's maybe one more now that you guys are warmed up. Okay, so the next one, let's test your cooking vocabulary. Let's have a look at herbs and spices. Now, my question is going to be herbs used in cooking. However, many of you might be thinking, what is the difference between a herb and a spice? Well, one difference is, let me zoom in here. Herbs are made from the leaves of a plant. Okay, they can be used for cooking and medicine as well. And they can be quite dry, both dry and fresh. Okay, but spices are usually made from the seed or the root of a plant. And there's no fresh version, they're always dry. And sometimes you can like roast them with heat. So think something like peppercorns or something like that, yeah? Obviously this is cinnamon, yeah? And this might be something like basil, okay? So that's the difference between a herb and a spice, okay? So for those of you who have just started coming in, you're going to write in the comments on HelloTalk or YouTube as many herbs as you can. The first letter, it doesn't matter. Just as many as you can in, let's give you 40 seconds. 40 seconds, okay? Are you guys ready? I hope you're not cheating. So let's move on. Herbs used in cooking, 40 seconds. Write as many as you can. 3, 2, 1, 40 seconds. Let's go. I wonder if they have the same name in other languages. So, herbs used in cooking. 20 seconds. Why can't I think of any? Man, my cooking vocabulary is terrible. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, that's a spice. Okay, right, stop your typing. All right, so let's have a look. My answers were, you can see here, I got oregano, basil, thyme, and rosemary. Basil was the example, so I only really got 3. I'm really bad. Okay, I do cook, and I'm an okay cook, but I don't use many herbs. I think I use more spices, actually. But anyway, what did you guys get? So herbs used in cooking. Let's have a look. Coriander, of course. I love coriander. Why didn't I put coriander? I'm stupid. And then fennel is a good one. Basil, vanilla. Is vanilla a herb? It's not a spice, is it? Actually, that's an interesting one. Is vanilla a herb? Coriander, definitely. Parsley is a good one. Peppermint, rosemary. Good job. Eddie, August, very nice. Hannah. We have fennel is a good one. And then, quick question. Ooh, Alessandra said mint as well. That's a good one. In your language, whether it be Russian, Japanese, and so on, do these herbs sound quite similar? Like, I believe in Japanese, thyme would be thyme. Actually, I'm not sure about that one, but in your language, is it quite similar, the names of these herbs and maybe spices? Like, we have cumin, cinnamon. Is it completely different? Because I guess, like, basil and coriander, I think they must be similar to foreign loanwords, and they come from other countries. So turmeric is a spice, I think, actually. But good. August. Some herbs sound similar. Yeah, it's usually probably some sound similar, right? Especially if the dish or the herb maybe comes from your country, right? For example, borscht is a Russian dish, so of course we use the Russian word in English. Sushi, and so on. So it's probably quite similar. Oh, very good job. Well done, guys. Okay, right. So I think that's enough for this game. I think we're all warmed up and ready to go. Thank you very much. So let's move on to the next game. We're gonna, oops, wrong one. We're gonna move on to a game called Password. Password. Okay. So I'm going to have a keyword on my screen. I'm not going to show you my screen. I'm going to hide it. And I have one keyword in my brain, okay? I'm going to give you a one-word hint, okay? And you guys are going to give me some guesses, right? At first, it will be quite difficult because you only have one hint. For example, animal, okay? And then you guys are going to give me lots of animals. For example, dolphin, whale, wolf, and things like that, okay? And then I cannot say anything for, let's say, 10 seconds. I'm not allowed to say anything, but I can react to your comments, yeah? So if somebody says wolf, I might say, wolf, yeah? So maybe that's showing like, oh, you're on the right line, yeah? You're getting closer, okay? And then after 10 seconds, I'll give you another hint. For example, like meat. So you know it's an animal that eats meat, for example. But always the hints will be one word. Okay? So let's do our best. And Maya, nice to see you. Oh, thank you very much for the compliment. But yeah, okay. So are you guys ready? So I'm going to, on my screen, you can't see my screen? Perfect. Okay, so the first word, let's give it a go. You're going to give me lots of guesses, okay? So first one, machine. So you can give me lots of guesses, just any vocabulary. Machine. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Washing machine, kind of. Next hint is everyone. Everyone. Laptop. Oh. 3, 2, 1. Oh, I think phone, cell phone, close. laptop was the closest. Next hint, bigger. Bigger. We have MacBook. TV. Ooh, laptop. TV. Tablet. Tablet is smaller, I think. Laptop, bigger. Monitor. Monitor is very close. What's another hint? Monitor is like a hint. Box? Okay, I'm gonna give Eddie the point here, and August as well. Hannah was super close as well. The answer was computer. But I was thinking about a desktop computer, so very well done. Yeah, it's interesting because PC, when I hear the word PC, I normally think about a desktop computer, okay? Whereas a laptop is a portable computer. For example, this is a laptop, right? I'm going to bring my laptop to Japan because it's portable, right? But if you say PC, I usually think about something larger, and the real name would be a desktop PC. Desk meaning, well, a table, right? And then personal computer. So if I quickly show you, I've got this, like, it's a bit messy, I'm sorry. My PC is over here. It's a big box, right? And I have my hard drive here. But it's big, it's not easy to take around. So PC usually means desktop PC, okay? And if you want to say portable, we would say laptop, okay? All right, good stuff. Thank you very much. All right. Oh, wait, why is everybody laughing? Did I do something weird? Did I show you something I shouldn't have? Maybe it was the messy wires. Oh, very good. Okay, right. But so let's move on to the next one. This one is Okay, let's do this one. Right. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. I almost said the answer. Animal. Animal. I hope you can't see it, like, in the reflection here. Don't look here. I'll be surprised if you can read it there. Animal. Leo? Leo's a star sign, isn't it? Knots says unicorn. Dog. Pig. Wait, are you serious? Okay, I'm gonna continue. Ocean. Ocean. Dolphin? Okay. Okay, so the reason why I'm having trouble, I'll just give you the answer. 2 people have already said it. I guess because there's so many people, there's a chance that someone will get, right? If everybody guesses like 10 different animals, there's a good chance. The answer was whale. And I think August got it so quickly. August and was it Alessandro, I think, maybe? The answer was whale. Very good. Good job. Maybe I should have picked a rarer animal, but some really good vocabulary here. People saying like dragon. Knots likes the fantasy creatures. Seahorse. And then some other people chose the more normal ones. Panda, elephant, monkey, and so on. Good job. Well done, guys. By the way, here's a quick chance for some vocabulary. Does anyone know the difference between, let me quickly get my words here. All right, so let's get rid of these cooking words. Does anyone know the difference between a creature and an animal? A creature and an animal. What's the difference between these 2 words? Any ideas? Can anyone tell me? Oops, sorry, let's put this one. Creature and animal. What's the difference? I'll give you a clue. Creature, for example, unicorn, dragon, kelpie, elf. Animal, pig, panda, bear, seahorse. Okay, shall I say it one more time? Hannah says means all living things. August says any living organism can be fantastic or a real creature. Ooh, interesting. And then Knots says creatures don't actually exist. The answer, and I think the closest, was Knots, actually. And August also said it can be fantastic. Now be careful. Fantastic just means great. Okay? I think you're talking about fantasy. Wait, what is the adjective of fantasy? Fantastical? No, that's not a word. But in other words, a creature is something that, well, a lot of people believe might exist, but there's no like proof, right? These are often in fantasy books. They're very magical. You know, if you believe in Bigfoot, fairies, and all of these things, they often appear in folk tales or fairy tales. Okay, so think creature, kind of magical, not real, question mark, depends, and fantasy. Yeah, but animal is just, yeah, just a normal, like normal living creature. Oh, but then I just said creature, right? Normal living thing, let's say. Okay, now the reason, as you can see, I also said normal living creature. So sometimes we might use creatures to say like, oh, everything. Yeah, organisms. A lot of you said like, does it mean all living things? And sometimes we do use it like that. But in simple terms, animal, normal living thing, creature, sounds a bit special. Sounds a bit fancy. Okay, fantastical. All right, but good answers. Well done, guys. Good job. All right, so let's move on to the next password. Let's go over here. So the next one, oh wait, I can't show you. I'm gonna show you the answer. All right, so your first hint is, where's the button? Okay. Animation. Animation. Any ideas? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna give you... It's too hard, Anna. Can I just say, August, are you reading my mind? Because the answer is Disney. And the first thing she said was Disney cartoons. Like, are you crazy? What? August, I think... Is August like... Is there a camera in my room? Like, is someone spying on me? Or did you see the reflection? August, are you cheating? Yeah. But there were some good words. Knots said anime. And some people said Spy Family, as you can see here. One of my favorite animes, yeah. By the way, if you are Japanese, be careful, because anime specifically means Japanese animation. Now, it comes from the word animation, like the word comes from animation, but when we in the West, in the UK, America, talk about anime, we always think about, you know, Ghibli, you know, Totoro, Spirited Away, Spy Family. It specifically means Japanese animation. So be careful with the word anime. If you're talking about Disney, we would just say, well, we would just say Disney, or like Western animation, an animated movie, or something like that. Yeah. So just be careful with those. Yeah. Time, yeah. Interesting. So yes, animation, these are two different things. August is a Russian spy for sure. Okay, right. Next one, let's do one more password. Maybe I want to change it because it's too easy. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. The UK. British. Nice try. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Royal family, Scotland, Queen, Big Ben. Okay. Now, even if somebody gets it, I'm going to continue, even if... I'm not saying somebody has got the answer already. And also, you don't know if it's YouTube or HelloTalk. Yeah? So maybe you can't see the answer because maybe it's on the other side. Anyway, thing. It's a thing. Rain. It's true, the UK, it does rain a lot. Thing. Double-decker bus. Good idea. Not very close. Thing. Flag. Manchester. People are saying cities. Are cities things? So when I say thing, I mean an object. Object. UK. If I say this category, it's too easy, so I will not say that. Fragrant. Fragrant. Oof, do you know this word? Fragrant. Fragrant. Oh, okay, that was too easy. I think I said, okay, right. The answer is 3, 2, 1. The answer is tea indeed, yeah. Knots was reading my mind this time. So, yeah, Knots got tea quite early on, but I didn't want to end the game. I wanted to give you guys the chance because, you know, sometimes people just get lucky. Or sometimes people put cameras in your room and they can see your screen. So, August, Knots, please, give me some privacy. All right, good job, guys. Well done. So, very good ideas, though. All of you, you know, lots of answers about the UK. It's interesting to see when other people have a certain image or like stereotype of your country. Now, stereotypes are not always bad. You know, we get stereotypes from just watching movies, social media, and things like that. So, you know, of course, as long as you don't judge someone's like character, like for example, I don't know, oh, you love tea, right? You know, I bought you some tea because you're from the UK. It's like, oh, well, actually, I don't like tea. It's a bit awkward, right? So never assume. Never just decide that somebody is something because of their nationality, but, you know, just as a casual conversation, like, by the way, I've heard British people drink a lot of tea. Like, is it true? Or, you know, from your experience? Or something like that. That's fine. But anyway. Good job, guys. Well done. Prince barbecue. Interesting. When I think barbecue, I think like the America or like Australia. Because like they have very wide open spaces. Like here in the UK, we do have like gardens and things like that, but I don't know, barbecuing, I feel like it's more of an Australian thing. That might just be my stereotype, so there we go. All right, good stuff. And then let's move on. Thank you for the gifts, guys. You really don't have to save the money, you know, for your other favorite live streamers, you know, like, but I really appreciate it, but you don't have to, okay? I hope you're not spending money. You know, buy yourself a nice coffee, go to Starbucks, treat yourself, yeah? Okay, right, let's move on. This one is quite a unique challenge. today, for the last game, before we move on to the debate, we're going to do the whisper challenge. Okay? How good are you at lip reading? Now, what we're going to practice now is actually quite a useful, how do I say it, skill that you can use in real life. I want you to imagine you're in a cafe, a busy cafe in America, like New York or maybe London, for example. When you're speaking to somebody in a, cafe where it's super busy, there's a common problem, especially if you're speaking English as your second language. Now imagine you're sitting down, you're trying to talk to somebody in English in a busy cafe. What kind of problem might you have when in a place, a busy place like a cafe, or walking outside in London, like beep beep, lots of cars, or maybe like a nightclub, for example? What might be difficult when you're in this kind of place? Okay, very good. Well done, guys. So Knots and Hannah, it's too noisy. No one hears you, yeah? So not only is listening difficult, speaking, you have to speak louder than usual, right? Because there's so much background noise. So in this situation, one thing that we are always doing unconsciously is lip reading, okay? Now, you'd be quite surprised. Now, of course, we're not like professional lip readers. We're not professional like interpreters, but we are often always looking at the, lips to try and guess, especially in these noisy environments. So today, we're going to practice a bit of lip reading, okay? So, here is the game. What was it? I've never thought of this, but I think it's hard. It is, really. And especially, like, when you're at a cafe and you just want to have a quiet conversation and then more guests, more customers start coming in and you're like, what? Sorry, could you say that again? And just remember that, of course, it's good to make eye contact, but it's also good to look at the lips, Anyway, so I'm going to say a phrase, a word, or something like that, but I'm going to mute my microphone. And I'm going to play some white noise, like so that you can't hear me, okay? You're going to read my lips and guess right in the comments, what do you think I'm saying, okay? Now, some of these might be a single word, some of these might be idioms, and some of them might be nonsense sentences, okay? I will tell you the category before I mute my mic as a hint. Okay? Because with no hint, I think it's too difficult because, well, there are so many words and expressions and things like that. Okay? So, are we ready? For example, let's do one together just as a warm-up. Let's make it easy. I won't play the noise. Let's just go fruit. Should I make my face closer? Okay, that was easy peasy. Yeah, apple. Apple. Okay? As you guys get used to this, I'm going to make them more difficult and maybe I might start speaking a bit faster. Okay? So, the first category, one word. One word. Okay? Now, I'm going to mute my mic. Where is my OBS? Okay, so I'm going to mute. And the answer is, it was English. Very well done, guys. Good job. Okay, that was, wait, you, Why could you hear me? I turned off my microphone. Wait. Okay. Apparently, my mute button doesn't work. So, is it coming from my microphone? Okay. I'm going to mouth the word. I'm not going to say it, okay? I'm going to mouth it, okay? Because stupid. Okay, thank you guys for letting me know. Right, next word. Well, actually, the next one is a name. A name. Okay? Okay, right. Name is quite difficult, isn't it? A lot of people were saying Eric John. You got the Eric part right. Does anyone know my full name? Does anyone know my name? Actually, I think most of you probably don't know my full name because it's not written in my profile. Maybe I mention it in one of my videos, but there we go. My name is Eric Chong. Okay. Now, you might see Eric, oh, that's a very, like, British name, but Chong is my Chinese family name because my, what do you call it? My mother is from Hong Kong and my father is from Malaysia, but family is Chinese, okay? Chong is, like, one of the most common family names for Chinese people, I think. Similar to, like, Lee, Chan. I think Lee is also popular in Korea. By the way, what family names are common in your country? Because, of course, it depends on the country. The UK, what's a common family name, second name? Roberts, Julia Roberts, for example. In China, maybe Malaysia, Chong is very common. What about your country? Smith. Wait, is that common in Russia? Smith. That's also very British, I feel. Chen Li. Oh, is that one family name? Suzuki. Right, yeah, I've heard. In Japan, Sato is also very common, right? Oh, no. Wait, what are you saying, Margot? Is it a Russian family name or a British family name? I think it's British, right? Many different surnames in Russia. Yeah, Russia's huge. So many. Smriti. Very good, Margot. Wait, do you have a lot of British friends? How did you know that? Very good, Smith. Surnames usually end in over. Oh, in Russia. That's right. Like, there's a famous Olympic athlete who... Pavlova? No. Is that a food? Lova. Over. Interesting. Okay. And then not says, for example, my second name is... I have no idea how to read that. I apologize. But interesting. Wow. It's a popular stereotype about Britain. Well, I think it's actually true. Something Smith. James Smith, Eric Smith, John Smith, Henry Smith. Yeah, it's super common. Very true. I got it right. Pavlova. Interesting. There we go. Konikova. Pavlova. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. There is a movie called Mr. and Mrs. Smith, right? Interesting. Okay. Right. Thank you very much, guys. Interesting. That was cool. Now I know some common surnames in other countries. All right, so let's hide the category Next one. Hello. Ah, okay. So this is a common phrase. It's a common phrase. Like, let's say you're taking a lesson. It's something that you might say in a lesson or just a conversation. Okay? Ready? I'm not gonna say it. And the answer is, sorry, I don't understand. Very good. A lot of you got I don't. I think Margot hit the nail on the head. I don't understand. Very good. Well done. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't get it. Now, all of you gave a lot of answers that have the same meaning, right? I don't understand. I don't get it. I have no idea. But the word I was saying was, I don't understand. Okay? Now, maybe I shouldn't... People say that I'm a very expressive person with my face, right? So I think I was giving you, like, clues with my face, like even this gesture, right? Humans are very good at using facial expressions, gestures to, you know, get information. So, okay, next one. No gestures, straight face, poker face. Okay? Poker face. All right. No more easy ones. You guys are too good at this. So, no facial expression, poker face. Okay, this one's difficult. This one is just a sentence, but it's nonsense. It's not a sentence that you would normally hear in real life, but the grammar is correct, okay? So, ready? Last time, one more time. Alright, let's have a look at the answers. Oh, you guys, you're so close. There are some people who have, like, 3 words correct, but 1 is wrong. And then the other person gets the other word correct, but the other one wrong. You're very close. The answer is 3, 2, 1. I love penguin podcasts. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time. I love penguin podcasts. I love penguin podcasts. Okay? So some people got penguin, some people got podcasts, but I don't think anybody got penguin podcasts together. So, but good job, you were very close. Okay? But there we go. Oh gosh, funny. But by the way, don't worry if you can't, how do I say it, understand everything. Like, this is a really important thing, but when you learn about real life, when you have conversations with real people and you know, start to explore and use English in real life situations, not from a textbook, not from just a lesson. When you go to a cafe to meet with a friend and, use English in real situations, you'll realize that you will not understand everything, right? You're not going to catch everything because maybe the other person's very shy and quiet. Maybe the background is too noisy. You're in a cafe, right? And these things, you can't help it, right? But it's just the same with your listening ability or maybe your vocabulary. There will be many times when you can't understand a word, or maybe you can't hear a word. But the good thing is, you don't need to understand every single word, and natives don't. They can listen if they really focus, they can hear and understand everything. But in daily life, when we're having conversations with maybe 5, 6, 7 people every day, and we're talking every day, all day, then we're gonna lose focus sometimes, right? But you don't always have to understand everything to get the flow of the conversation, okay? So just remember, focus on the general topic, yeah? Focus on those key words like verbs, for example. Verbs often carry more meaning than other words. And that's why, if you studied pronunciation before, you'll know that we often stress verbs more than other words, right? For example, articles, the, un. We don't normally stress these words because they're not so important, right? So for example, I went shopping the other day. Yeah, so went would be the stressed word here because, I need to know what you did. If somebody asks you, what was it? What did you do on the weekend? And I might say, I just studied. Yeah. The just was very weak. I said, I just studied. Yeah. So the study, there's a bit more emphasis and stress. So anyway, I'm going off topic. Sorry. But yeah, don't worry about understanding every single word. Just focus on getting the general idea, the context, and those keywords. Okay? All right. Sorry, I went off topic. So let's have a look. Just a few questions. Do you open lives every day? Not every day. No, I'm too busy because I have my, regular students on weekdays. Yeah. I teach one-on-one lessons. But yeah, thank you, Hannah, for helping me explain things. You don't have to, but that's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Big help. Maybe I should make Hannah a moderator. But yeah, so what was it? Yeah, thank you so much. So let's move on to the next one. Oops, I should not show you the answer. Okay, so lip reading again. Are you ready? Let's have a look. Hello. Okay, this one is an idiom. This one is an idiom. Okay. 3, 2, 1. One more time. Okay. I apologize. It seems like on the YouTube side, the white noise is quite loud. I apologize. So I'll turn it down a little bit. But yeah, so the answer is 3, 2, 1. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Good job, guys. There were 2 people who got it. Occam's Razor, nice to see you again. And August got it later. Very good, yeah. Somebody wrote, was it, what the ... I don't know if that was the answer or just their natural reaction. Like, what the heck is this? I have no idea. Interesting. But yeah, by the way, Maya, I think you're a bit delayed on the YouTube side, so but it's really nice to see your comments. Thank you so much. Anyway, so yes, some people say I'm good at lip reading. Yeah, maybe lip reading is on your side, right? You are lip reading me. I am just mouthing, I think that's the word. When you make a shape with your mouth, we say to mouth a word or something, but it's not very common, so don't worry. Lip reading is more common. Okay. I guess that's how, what you call it? Deaf people can understand others sometimes, right? I don't know how good they are at lip reading, but they must be better than most people at lip reading, right? Because they can't hear. So, interesting. But of course, you also have like sign language and things like that. Sign language is so cool. I really respect people who know how to sign and do things like that, but very cool. Okay. Another spy. Very good, yeah. Too many spies today. But very good. All right, so let's move on. Elton John, very interesting, Maya. But yeah, so let's... Oh, wait, I'm not showing you the answer. Okay. Next one is a common phrase. A common phrase, okay? Similar to like, oh, I don't understand. I might say this in a cafe. Well, actually, no, not just a cafe. It could be anywhere, like any public place. Okay, that's your hint. Ready? Okay, right. Ooh. Oh, sorry. I was thinking nobody got the answer, but it's because I forgot to scroll down on the comments. Okay, right. So, what was it? Yeah, great to see you, Occam's Razor. I should be apologizing. I don't know. I don't care. How's you been? Cannot be heard. How are you doing? Ooh, no one's close. Interesting. No worries not. It's nice to see you. I'll see you next time. Okay, I'll do it one more time. But this time I'll do it with gestures. Okay? So, ready? Right. Can I have a refill? Yeah, this one was quite difficult. Okay, right. So the answer was... most people got... Ooh. 3, 2, 1. Excuse me, can I use this? Occam's Razor got it spot on, and a lot of other people got can I? So very well done. Nice. Good job, guys. But yeah, that was really difficult because can I use this? Especially when you're connecting words together, you know, pronunciation changes. We don't say, can I use this? We would say, can I use this? Can I? Can I? Something like that. Yeah, so it's pretty difficult, but good job. Finally, you enunciated at last. Are you saying that I don't normally enunciate? But yeah, what was it? Excuse me, can I use this? Can I use this? Okay. All right, good job. Thank you very much. So yeah, that was really difficult. But let's do two more, and we'll do them relatively quickly. Okay. Right. This one is a name, very famous name. Everyone should know this. Okay, it's a name. Okay, are you ready? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is Leonardo da Vinci. Occam's razor. Yeah, he's got another camera in my room, I swear. So many people spying on me. Very good. It was Leonardo da Vinci. Good job, guys. But yeah, it is really difficult. Leonardo da Vinci. When you hear it and see my mouth, you think, oh yeah, of course, I should have known, but it's difficult, I know. But Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, August wasn't even close. Prince Charles III? Prince Charles III? Oh, I just bit my tongue. Okay. But I like August is never afraid of getting things wrong. She's always, you know, trying and giving lots of answers. Great job. But well done, Occam's razor. It was Leonardo da Vinci. Good job. All right, so next one, let's move on. Let's do a few more and then we'll move on to some debates and I'll get some people on stage as well. Okay, so. Is this too easy? Okay. It's one word, so it's easy. So I'm going to say it at natural speed, okay? I'm not going to slow it down and make it easy. Natural speed. One word. Oh, I almost showed you the answer. Okay, ready? Okay, interesting. Occam's razor was on fire, but this time he's a bit off the target. Interesting. The answer was 3, 2, 1. Hannah, you get a gold star. It is microphone. Very good. And what was it? Smriti also got the answer there. It was microphone. Microphone. Very good. Well done, guys. Yeah. You're welcome. Oh, it was a typo. Amp. I mean, it was microphone. So, really good job. Linda, very nice. Good job on the YouTube side. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I need to post for people who have the free version of Hello Talk. Of course, there's a time limit, right? So if you run out of time, you can find the YouTube stream here. So you can continue watching for as long as you like, okay? So let me just pin that comment. All right, oops. So there we go. Well done, guys. Microphone, good job. All right, so let's do, oops. Can't show you the answer. No, that was it. Really good job. Well done, guys. But yeah, lip reading is quite difficult, isn't it? Especially if you're doing it in a real conversation. So you do have to be careful, but it's just something that you will naturally get better at as you practice more, okay? But very good job, guys. Nice. I need to learn lip reading. Yeah, it's not something that you have to study or like practice specifically. Just as you get more experience talking to people, it will become easier. Okay? Very good job, guys. Well done. All right. But, ooh, Smriti said it was easy peasy lemon squeezy. So now we're going to move on to some language debates. I was thinking about what to talk about this week, and I was just thinking studying languages is difficult, and we all have these kind of opinions about language learning. Now, of course, I'm a teacher. I do have my own personal opinions about studying languages, self-studying, and things like that. But I'm just one person, right? All of you have had many valuable experiences, stories that you can share with us. And I want to hear some of your stories because I'm sure there is something that we can learn from each other. Just because I'm a teacher doesn't mean I know everything. So I want to chat to some of you guys. Now, of course, if you're brave enough to answer some of these questions, please raise your hand. Last time we did, how should we do this? Yeah, let's do the questions one by one. I'm going to show you the question. I'll let you think about it. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute to think about your answer. And if anybody wants to come on stage, please raise your hand. If no one raises their hand, then you can just share your comments in the chat, and I will also, speak about this debate or question. Okay? All right. Are we all ready? I think we're all warmed up from all of these games that we've been doing, so hopefully somebody will be ready to come on stage. But you don't have to, of course. All right, so the first question, the first debate for today is: going to a language school is a waste of money. Going to a language school is a waste of money. Now, of course, you can say like, I completely disagree, 100%, or maybe you're on the fence. Maybe you're in the middle. You're like, there are some reasons why it's good, but there are other reasons why, yes, it's a bit of a waste of money. So just giving you time to think. Going to a language school is a waste of money. First of all, agree, disagree, completely disagree, slightly agree. Yeah, don't forget to use those adverbs, yeah, in an English test. If you're taking a speaking test and you have to answer this kind of question, to get those top marks, to get those high marks, you want to use words, not just I agree, I disagree. You want to say, I slightly disagree, I completely agree, or maybe I slightly agree, but it depends on the situation. It depends on your money situation or something like that. Okay, so anybody want to come on stage? I see Jia Ye and Hannah. We have a lot of people raising their hands. A lot of brave, English students. Very good. Let me just quickly read, and then I'll take Jia Ye because I think he was first. Okay, so August, disagree. Bandari, it's not a waste of money. It depends on a lot of factors. Very true. Yes, it actually depends. You know, when I'm arguing, I do say it depends too much, but a lot of issues are not black or white, so I think it's a fair answer. But anyway, let's take someone on stage. Jia Ye was first, I believe, so let me just quickly set as moderator, invite to stage. Here we go. Jia Ye, are you ready? Let's have a look.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Not at all. Okay. And yeah, I guess we can jump straight into it. So what do you think? Is going to a language school a waste of money?
Okay, I think it's necessary for people to study the language on school, but the point is that how long and how the school teaches the students.
True.
Uh, yeah,
Mm.
the point is the effectiveness,
Mm. Mm.
right? Yeah, if yeah, get the correct teaching way and the students benefit a lot
Mm.
and
Mm.
can enhance the skill in short time, of course it is worth.
Mm. Very true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. So it depends on the teacher, maybe the curriculum, how they teach. For you, what do you look for? What is a good sign of a very good language school? Is it maybe like, the teachers are friendly, or maybe the materials are very easy to understand? Like, what do you look for?
Okay, good. This is a good question. Yes, I have to say that some teacher, the friendly, they
Mm,
motivate the people, they stimulate people to have more interest in this language. Yeah, we can say that the students can improve the language much
mm.
faster than what he could do on his own. Yeah, this is positive aspect.
Interesting. So, sorry, let me just get this straight. You think that the attitude and the personality of the teacher being able to motivate the students or maybe make it fun is very important. Is that right?
Yeah, get interaction.
Interaction, definitely, right? And I completely agree, right? As a teacher, many people think, oh, they just have to know all the grammar rules and, be very knowledgeable. But at the same time, if you're a boring teacher, the students are gonna, get tired, bored, and none of the information will go in. So I completely agree. Mm, very good. Okay. Did you have any final comments or anything you want to share?
I'm sorry. What's the comment?
Oh, no, sorry. So you answered the question. You gave a wonderful answer. So before I
Thank you.
give other people a chance to speak, is there any final comment or anything you want to
Oh,
share with everyone in the live stream?
okay. Thank you. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think mastering a language
Hmm.
it's not something that we can rely on somebody else actually,
Mm,
because this is a long journey,
mm,
Yeah, I think the question going to language school is a waste of money. Sometimes it is correct, but it depends on, as I mentioned, Yeah, I think most parts actually need the people to do on their
mm,
own, but they need to get foundation on school, and for remain job will need the
mm,
student to do their own. They need to reading, listening, speaking, and a lot of things actually
mm, mm,
probably you do every day so that
true.
they can really be proficient in the language
Mm,
skill.
mm.
That is my point.
Definitely. Very good. Yeah, I completely agree again. There are some things that you can only experience in the language school, and again, depends on how much money you have and things like that. But as you said, the foundation, right? If I
Yeah.
had to recommend, should you go to language school like earlier or later? I would recommend earlier, because if you get bad habits from self studying, then they become much harder to fix later on if they become a habit, right? So it's better to get that strong foundation. So, very good.
Yeah, I'm
Well done.
totally up for it.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Ah, very good. Really good answer. And I like, you were very fluent. Your pronunciation was generally pretty good. The microphone quality, not super clear, but your way of speaking, fluency, it was really good. Well done.
Thank you so much
Yeah,
for your encouragement.
you're very welcome. Thank you. And thank you for joining the live stream today. Hopefully, I'll see you more in the future. Okay?
Sure, sure. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you
Bye
so
bye.
much. Bye. Everybody, a quick
Bye bye.
round of applause for GIA. And yeah, What a wonderful answer. Now, I'm going to try and go in order. I think it's from the bottom. I believe it was Hannah, Occam's Razor, and then August. Okay, so let's let Hannah on stage. I'll try to keep it relatively short so everybody gets a chance to speak. So I apologize if you don't get a long time on stage. But let's have a look at Hannah, the very helpful moderator, a very good English student. So I've invited Hannah, I believe. I invited the wrong person. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'll do
Didn't
Hannah
got the wrong
next.
person on the stage,
And
but it's okay.
apologies. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing, Eric?
Very good, thank you.
Doing great?
Yeah, and great job with your answers earlier.
Seems like you're planning to study in Japan, so pursue some further education there, right? Okay, good
That's
for you.
right. I'm not going to study there. I'm going there to teach.
Ah, okay. So have a good time in Japan, which is like a really friendly, really beautiful country. A lot of good food, a lot of people. People are really friendly, really nice. Yeah, a lot of great things to see. It's gonna be like a really eye-opening experience for you. Anyway,
Very good.
so in terms of our topic, I think, just like what I've just said, it just depends on certain multiple shifting factors according to what kind of person you are.
Very true.
Like specifically, if you are a person already having like a really strong, spontaneous will to study, you have this innate motivation to drive you to like memorize different kinds of vocabulary and just get yourself exposed to like multiple kinds of sentence patterns, and you're just willing to learn on your own. You always have this innate fire that are pushing you forward to make progress like constantly. Then I don't think it's that necessary for you to actually attend a language learning school, because you already have this this innate this power that can push you forward to encourage you to study. And what you can actually get from a language learning school is actually it creates a context and environment in which a bunch of people are just sitting together, creating a English speaking environment in which everybody are just forced to speak English with each other all the time. So you have to like practice or spoken English with students around you, and gradually you're making progress because you are constantly just getting yourself exposed to like a different kinds of vocabulary, different kinds of expressions, and idioms, and phrases, and stuff like that. And other than that, if you are a person who is looking for some scientific tactics, and you don't really know the correct way of pronouncing certain words, you don't really know how you're gonna memorize the different vocabulary, you have problems figuring out the meaning of a certain fatal verbs, or cannot wrap your head around a certain algorithm of all those like sentence syntactical patterns, chances you better be attending a language school in which a teacher can just impart all this necessary information that you might need, specifically like how you can memorize more words, and how you write a article scientifically and more logically, and how you're going to express yourself like eloquently. That's the job of the teacher. That's what you got to do. And and then again, it's according to what has been said by one of the students in the comment section. It has to do with your levels. If you are already an intermediate or advanced English learner, chances you don't really need to bother to attend this school anymore, because you cannot really gain that much from a school. But if you're of the elementary level, chances you want to start up building up a foundation on which you can make more progress, and then attending a language school might be like a really feasible and certain solution. Yeah.
Very good. Well done. Thank you very much. So just to touch on a few points.
Once again, it's not a black and white kind of thing.
It isn't. No, that's right. Yeah. It's you touched on a lot of things there, talking about motivation, being in an English-speaking environment definitely helps, They say birds of a feather flock together, as, like-minded people usually gather. And, having, even if they aren't the best conversation partners, or maybe they're not a native, right? Just being in the same space, having people who share the same struggles with you can be quite, it can put you at ease, so to speak. and it makes the journey a little less lonely. So, but I completely agree with a lot of the things you said. And actually, I'll be honest, as you saw, I was probably taking a few notes just because you spoke so fast and fluently. It was a really good job. Well done. But,
sorry for that. That's just how I talk. And
no,
just
that's okay.
blew it out of my mind.
Yeah, I have a feeling that... would you mind if I gave you one piece of feedback?
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, because I can see that you're very serious about studying English. Otherwise, you would have never gotten to this point. First of all, no problems with like vocabulary, grammar, and your fluency was through the roof. So really good job. I would say that your pronunciation suffers not because you can't pronounce words, but just because you're similar to me when I speak in Japanese. I have the same problem. Your brain works faster than your mouth. Sorry, no, your mouth is faster than your brain. So like all of these words are coming out your mouth and your brain is still trying to catch up. And it might work for you, but as the listener, I feel a bit almost tense, and it would be nice if like you gave me a chance to respond. What was it? So you go one point, you talked about motivation. So you do that, and then you pause. And then for me, it's just like, I don't have to think about anything, just motivation. But then earlier, because you had all of these things you wanted to say, probably because you know you have a limited time on stage as well, so there's also that. But yeah, I'll just say slow down a bit, focus on one main point, give a chance to respond, and then move on to your next point. And that might be a bit more natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion, which is like pretty helpfful for me.
No,
yeah.
but
sometimes my mouth is just sometimes my brain just works so fast that my mouth can't catch up.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It happens from time to time, but I'm trying to figure out like a way to correct it, but it takes
difficult.
time. Easier said than done.
Exactly, very good.
Easier
but the
said
good
than done.
news is that I think you've got the difficult stuff done. Like your grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, like idioms, like was it easier said than done? That was great, perfect. So just resetting and saying, oh, I'm speaking too fast, and then just taking a deep breath. So basically, that should be easy as long as you're conscious of it. And maybe the next time you speak online, I would have like a sticky note and I would stick it next to my camera. So my webcam is right here. I would write slow down and I would stick it right next to the camera so that when you're looking into the camera, you're always conscious of it. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, it happens to me from time to time. Actually, a lot of time. When I was just speaking, chances I feel like I was just enunciating. I feel like I was just expressing myself like 100% perfectly. But then again, sometimes when I have recorded what I've just said, chances I'm not that really satisfied with the quality and the content I have just provided. I don't know why that is. Maybe it has to do with the problem you have just mentioned. Because sometimes your mouth just works so fast that you didn't really enunciate. Even though you thought you have.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I mean, as long as you're conscious of it, and the more mistakes you make, the more you'll be conscious of it. So you can definitely fix it, no problem.
Yeah, that's how you take your language level to another level.
Exactly. Because as we spoke about before, I think actually if you want to make a good impression, people who speak at a reasonable and like in a calm manner, they also sound a lot smarter than people who are like rushing through their things. So it also gives a good impression as well. But yeah, okay. All right.
Thank you, Eric.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming on stage. And I'm going to give it to Hannah this time because she was next. But yeah, awesome answer. I'm really impressed as always. So thank you so much.
Thank you,
okay.
Gianna.
See you. Where's the button? Let me 1 second. Where is it? Thank you so much. There we go. Absolutely perfect. So Occam's razor, very high level. But thank you so much. We'll move on to Hannah. I'm going to be very careful. I swear it was Hannah. This one? I believe. I've sent the invitation. There we go. Hello, Hannah. Can you hear me?
Yes, it's okay if you made a small mistake.
Thank you for understanding. But how are you doing today?
Today is Saturday. I'm
Wonderful.
doing great on Saturday.
Oh,
How are
that's
you?
good. I'm very good, thank you, and thank you as always for your help. I can see it's funny because I can't see you, but I can see your pearly, perfect white teeth hiding through the camera. So it's nice to see you. But
Mhm.
yeah, okay. So why don't we jump into the question? What do you think about language schools? Are they a waste of money?
What do I think of language?
Language school. So is going to a
Oh,
language school a waste of money? What do you think?
For me, I think it is necessary for language learners. It enables you to improve your language skills in a short time, and you have some systematic resources. That is important. And to me, only speaking is not sufficient. You need to know the hidden culture or some taboos, something like that. That is, if you go to a language school, you will be allowed to immerse yourself in that setting.
Very good, yeah. So definitely, resources, immersing is a great word. Being in that environment where you are surrounded by knowledgeable people, motivated people, can help you, get to that goal in a shorter amount of time. Because the problem with self-studying is that you need to be a lot more motivated, which is not easy when you're working. So very good. Did you ever go to a language school, Hannah?
I did for a short time.
Great. Okay.
And I think in a language school, if you are not quite disciplined, you will have somebody to to push you
Very
forward.
good. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It is.
And you have some learners with you, so you guys can have some communication.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Very good. Yeah, that was a perfect point. I completely agree. We as teachers, our job is to challenge you and push students not too far, not to just say, okay, you're a beginner, please do a self-introduction in front of the whole class like suddenly. No, but we judge your level and everybody's different, right? So a good teacher will be able to give different advice depending on the student, even if they're in the same class. But yeah,
Exactly.
very good, very good. And for you, when you look at kind of language schools, what are you looking for? What is the most important thing for you when it comes to language schools?
Okay. First of all, there should be teachers focusing but focusing all aspects of the language, like speaking, listening, reading, writing. You should have some specific teachers for that. But if a teacher is quite talented, he can teach you all those things. That's perfect. And I think they should have some schedule, some plan for you. If you have the chance to exchange, that's better.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Exactly. Very good. Yeah. And what was it? Focusing on all aspects, I completely agree. Grammar, pronunciation, and one thing you can do in language schools is like role plays, right? Which is quite difficult to do. Impossible if you're self-studying, and even difficult with a one-on-one private online lesson, because in a class you can swap partners and things like that. But yeah, I completely agree. Really good job. Yeah.
Teacher Eric,
Yes.
thank you.
No, you're very welcome.
May I ask you a question?
Of course, go ahead.
When will you move on to Japan?
I will be moving on Tuesday. I'll be flying off at London Heathrow early in the morning, and yeah, I'll be going to Tokyo, so it'll be very exciting.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
cool.
You've been
prepared for a long time.
Yeah, it's been taking a while. My room is super messy at the moment, packing all my stuff. I actually haven't started packing yet. But yeah, so lots of things to prepare, but looking forward to it.
Yes.
Perfect.
I hope you have a smooth journey.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Hannah. Thank you always for your answers. And, when people ask questions in the chat, sometimes you answer them for me. So that's really, makes me feel at ease. So I really appreciate it. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you, teacher.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I'll see you soon, Hannah. Bye.
Okay.
Right. Where's the button? Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, Hannah's super helpful, always very kind and friendly. Great to have her in the live stream. Okay, so I'm gonna go on to August next, but I just want to quickly. I've been ignoring the comments because I've been focusing on the what was it? The speakers, of course. So I'm gonna do August, and then we'll go to the comments. Okay? So I'm looking forward to seeing August. I don't think I've seen her or spoken to her on the live stream before. Right. Let's have a look. August! I want to say like long time no see. I feel like I know you very well because you're always in the chat, but it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
I'm sorry, I don't look like a typical Russian person.
That's
yeah,
okay. That's okay.
my ethnicity is different, so I
That's
look
all right.
like an Asian person because I live in the eastern part of Russia, close to China and close to Mongolia.
I see. So are there more kind of, how do I say it, like Russians who have like an Asian ethnicity in Eastern Russia?
Yeah. In Eastern Russia, we have a lot of Russian citizens who look like Asian people.
Interesting. So. Okay, very good. And yeah, no worries. I mean, to be honest, when you said I don't look like a typical Russian person, I don't even know what a typical Russian person
like a Slavic person.
Okay.
Caucasian, yeah.
As a Russian person, just a quick question. What do you think is the stereotypical image of a Russian person?
I think a stereotypical image would be a Slavic person, very tall and with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Sounds like very handsome or beautiful.
Yeah, very handsome, like people living in northern part of Russia. Probably they have very fair skin,
Fair skin, good word.
Fair skin.
But no, that's great because I don't think I've ever. Of course, I've talked to Russian people before, but like not a long conversation. So and thank you for always, I think you taught me a few things about Russia, like in the past live streams. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
But okay, so what do you think about today's question? Going to a language school is a waste of money. What do you think?
I think that going to a language school is not a waste of time and money because language schools provides structured curriculum and experienced teachers and social interaction and also immersive environments and language schools perfectly work when you have a goal. For example, you want to pass an exam, IELTS or TOEFL. So definitely you need to have some kind of feedback and help from others. And in this case, language schools would definitely help students to achieve their goals.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I really like the point you said, when you have a goal. I think this is connected to motivation as well. But there are many students who will just like, they'll go to the school, they'll do the lesson, they'll do the homework, finished, right? And that's not wrong. But students who improve the most and generally, continue studying for the longest are people who have a clear image of what they want to achieve, right? Like, I want to be able to speak about politics or just casual conversations in, any situation. Like, they're usually, they have a set goal. So that's a really good point, August.
Yes, as for me, I also had an experience with a language school. I used to attend classes of an American teacher. taught us how to sound naturally. And also, I passed my FCE exam.
Oh,
It stands for First Certificate in English.
first
I think this
certificate. Wow.
exam is from Cambridge.
Oh, okay.
So I'm aiming to take a C1 level exam.
C1, that's
So
high level.
I'm studying hard.
Very good. Well, I can see how hard you've worked, and obviously you probably can't count how many hours or days you studied English, but it's clear to me, just from the comments in the live stream, the way you're speaking now, and from your answers, absolutely brilliant job, and congratulations on passing that exam.
Yeah. And I have a question for you.
Of course.
Do you understand me when I speak English?
Yeah.
Is my English clear for you?
So, it is very clear. I have absolutely no problem understanding you. There were a few small things. Unfortunately, I didn't write them because I'm not focusing on, how do I say it, specific grammar mistakes right now. But what was it? I noticed a few small grammar mistakes, but they were very minor mistakes, and it didn't really affect my understanding of what you were saying. So I think really good job.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Eric. Thank you very much. I'm always happy to come to your live stream and learn something new. And thank you for doing this for free for us, for English learners. And you are an amazing host on Hello Talk.
You're gonna make me blush, but no, it's so nice to talk to you. I don't want to say in person because it's online, but face to face. Because I always have this name like August in my head and I recognize it, but now that I've seen your face, I can connect it and it feels like a human interaction. So thank you so much. Thanks to you and all of the other people who often come. This is why I do it, because it's fun. It's nice to hear your stories and learn about your culture. So thank you, August.
Yeah, thank you. See you. Bye.
I'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Right. But sorry, I'm trying to find the button. But August, thank you so much, and thank you all of you guys for coming on stage. Of course, we're gonna continue. But yeah, it's always very interesting to see how, of course, written comments and speaking, face to face, it's scary. It's nerve-wracking coming on stage to give these answers about quite a complex topic. And sharing your experiences is not easy when everybody's watching you. So really good job to those three people who just came on. Hannah, Occam's Razor, and August. Thank you so much. Awesome job. But yeah, let me just quickly read some of the comments because I've been ignoring it for a long time. So let's start with the YouTube side. Was it? If all teachers like you, Mr. Eric, I can say the language school as well. Oh, Karim, you're too kind. I'm sorry. It sounds like I'm bragging about myself, but what was it? Yeah, I would say I'm a good teacher, but I still have a long way to go. So, well, thank you. Now going on to the Hello Talk side. Sorry, microphone, lip reading. So, Jeff says the teachers... Oh, sorry, I disagree. The teachers from language schools can give many tips which make your study more effective. Very true. I guess this discussion also depends on what are we comparing language schools to? Are we saying language schools are better than nothing? Of course, I think most people would agree, but are we comparing it to self-study? Or are we comparing it to having a private tutor? Because depending on what we're comparing it to, we might get a slightly different answer. So, Hannah, yes, we do need to pick a side generally. That's right, exactly. You need to practice speaking with natives every day. Yeah, you don't have to speak every day, but it's faster. The most important thing, I would recommend at least once a week. Yeah, 25 minutes? Again, it depends on if you want to improve super quickly. Let's say you're preparing for an exam versus just you want to put it in your daily, weekly routine. You just want to, you know, enjoy it. So depending on your situation. And then, yes, it's very helpful. Sometimes I want to talk to natives, but because I'm shy, but you're shy. But yeah, it's super scary. But one thing I would add to the discussion, a lot of the three speakers that came on earlier said that it's good because you get to talk to teachers who can give you expert advice, who can guide you, who are very experienced. There's one caveat, there's one counterpoint I would say to this. I shouldn't say this, but the reality is, again, it depends on the school, but from my experience of working in language schools, working with universities in Japan, you can get a wide range in quality of the teachers at language schools. In Japan, you have, you know, these big corporations where they hire hundreds, thousands of Americans, British people, and in some cases, you know, Singaporean or, you know, non-native speakers. But the problem is, and this is not all related to non-native versus native. I'm not saying that, you know, non-native teachers are worse than native teachers. Just generally, teachers can come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes and attitudes. As you can probably see, I'm quite cheerful, energetic, and for me, my weak point, to be very honest, is I'm not always so good at working from a textbook. Having a super clear lesson plan, you know, very structured, and demonstrating the exercises is my weak point, to be very honest. But I like to focus on games, making the lessons fun, and, you know, when it comes to teaching one-on-one, I'm quite good at taking notes and giving feedback. But the reality is, with language schools, some of these people are fresh graduates from university. Some of them have very little teaching experience. And some of them are, you know, generally, they have a lot of experience, but I don't always agree with the way they teach. Like, they have, like, habits. But that's not fair of me to judge, because I also have habits, right? But I would say, because when you go to a language school, you generally do not get to choose your teacher. Okay? So if you go to a language school and you love your teacher, like, that's great, you know, wonderful. But I would say one advantage of taking private one-on-one lessons, like online, there are many websites nowadays where you can hire a private tutor, and many of them are very reasonable. The benefit or the advantage is that, one, it's much cheaper. Two, more convenient because you don't have to go to the language school. But three, and maybe the most important, you can choose your teacher. And if you can find a wonderful teacher, and I'm not just saying somebody who's knowledgeable, but somebody that you have good chemistry with, right? Because we're teachers, but we're also human, right? I have some students who I connect with more than others because we have the same interests, because we have a similar personality and things like that, okay? So the best teacher, you know, people who know a lot will not always be the best teacher for everyone. It depends on your chemistry, okay? I'm going off topic, so I'll leave it there. But yeah, there's a lot to think about. But anyway, let's move on. Looking at some of the comments. If you're a beginner, you have to go to school or study online until you can communicate. Yeah, as we said earlier, at the beginning level, it's generally a good idea to get the foundation and go to a language school where it's more formal. But after that, I think you can become more independent and self-study. But yeah, okay, great. So we've spent a long time on this one topic, so let's move on. Sorry, just reading more comments. For those who love to study languages, they would say having a class will not waste time, even if it's free or pay. Yeah, true. If you have the money and the time, go to a language store. It's not going to be bad. But if you're limited on money, then you might have to think a bit more carefully. But yeah, all right. So let's move on to the next question, because we've talked about this for maybe a bit too long. I apologize. So let's have a look at the next one. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Studying more than one language at the same time will cause problems. I don't know about you guys, but there are many people these days, and a lot of my friends as well here in the UK, they love to use language learning apps. For example, Duolingo is probably one of the most famous. And what surprises me, because I'm so different, I'm the type of person who prefers to stick with one language. Maybe it's just because I love Japanese and I love Japan and so on. So I want to master, even though I will never really master, I want to get to a super high level with Japanese before I change to a different language like Korean or something. Maybe that's because I'm worried that my Japanese level will get worse as I start Korean, but I'm not sure that's true. But a lot of my friends, they are like beginner intermediate level in like Swedish, German, but at the same time, they will like just quickly have a look at Dutch or maybe Swedish and things like that. And I think, wow, that's like completely different to me. I would never just start another language so casually, but apps make it very easy to do so. But generally, I have mixed feelings about apps, but that's another question. So, what do you guys think? Studying more than one language at the same time will cause problems. Let's read the comments. Thank you, Hannah. August, yes. Oh, was that the previous question? Sorry, I don't know. Okay, so it's here. Occam's razor says it might cause confusion of certain kinds. Interesting. What kind of confusion are you talking about? Occam's razor. Hannah, pronunciation, for example, voyage has different pronunciation in French and English. True. Voyage, voyage. Bon voyage, or something like that. Voyage. After learning French, I automatically switch. That's a very good point, actually. Pronunciation, I think this is where foreign loan words can be confusing. Because when you speak another language and you realize, oh, we have this word in this language. And then, especially when you're not used to it or you're speaking quickly, you might use the other version, or the version that's natural in that language but not in the other. For example, in Cantonese, I speak Cantonese, which is a dialect of Chinese. In Chinese, we say 太阳, 太阳, which means sun. But in Japanese, you would say 太陽, 太陽, and I think Korean is probably similar. If we have any Koreans, please let me know. But yeah, it can be very confusing for pronunciation. Good point. August, it's better to learn languages from one language family. Ooh, good point. Language family, in other words, languages. It's kind of like, think about a family tree. There are groups of languages that are very close together and more related. For example, I said earlier, 太陽, 太陽. Chinese, Korean, and Japanese are relatively close. French, German, and English, to some extent, are quite close. I don't know the specific groups, but generally, if the countries are geographically, physically close together, then probably the languages are also going to be related or connected. Okay? So August giving a great example, Spanish and Portuguese are relatively close, yeah? And that's why when people say, oh, what is the most difficult language? The answer is, it depends. It depends on your mother tongue and how different, how, distant it is to the language you're trying to learn. If you're, if you're Spanish and you're learning Portuguese, very close, it will take you maybe only like this amount of time to become fluent. But if you're, if you're Chinese and you're trying to learn English, opposite side of the world, the grammar's different, the pronunciation, the writing system, completely different, right? I will tell you now, studying the Japanese or kanji, the Chinese characters from scratch, although I speak Chinese, I never learned how to write it. Oh, it took years just to read and write. Actually, I can't write them. I can type them and I can recognize them. No way can I write them. It's nuts. But yeah. And then Siraj says disagree. Occam's razor. Like, you will get the pronunciation or the grammar structure of two different languages mixed up, and the whole sentence ends up being a train wreck. Ooh, good word, train wreck. A mess, in other words. Yeah. I'm actually not sure. I guess... What about this? I would argue that languages that are very similar, for example, Spanish and Portuguese, are very easy to mix up because they're similar. But what about Chinese and English? Korean and French? They are so different that I feel like you would mix them up less. It also depends on your level, right? At a beginner level, when you're still making very basic sentences, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but it's a really good point. Because often, if I give an example from my, how do I say it, growing up here in the UK, we have a weird family situation here. My mother's from Hong Kong and my father's from Malaysia, but my father was much more fluent in English than my mother. Okay, so I grew up speaking English to my father, but Cantonese or Chinese to my mother. So as I grew up, I learned them as my mother tongue, not through a book, just by copying and listening. And so as I was growing up and learning, I don't remember mixing up the languages. However, I did code switch a lot. So, for example, I'll start a sentence in English and I'll finish in Chinese just because there's an easier phrase or a phrase that doesn't exist in the other language. So I do code switch a lot, but I didn't mix them up very much. But maybe it depends on the way you study, right? Maybe if you're studying through a textbook and you only study once a week, maybe you mix them up more. I'm not sure. Okay. Like perhaps a person learning Korean and English might say, Plawa potu can you pass me? Oh, Korean does have a lot of p sounds, right? I think like a kopi, I think is like coffee. Interesting. Hannah, if you learn more than one language at the same time, you'll feel more of a sense of achievement. That's another good point. And I think that's why so many people like to start learning another language before they've reached a high level in another language. You know, it's really cool to be able to say, I'm a polyglot. A polyglot is someone who can speak like, 3 or more languages. I want to say I'm a polyglot, Chinese, English, and Japanese, but my Chinese, like, I can have everyday conversations, but if it's about politics and things like that, oof, see ya, I'm a baby. But, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? if you learn, sorry, I mix 3 languages in my brain. Yeah, I don't know. I personally have never really mixed them, but maybe next time I'll try studying Korean plus, I don't know, what other language do I want to learn? I don't know, let's say Russian, for example. Maybe because Russian and Korean are quite different, maybe it will be okay, but I don't know. Interesting. But, right. To learn Russian is more difficult than French. Yeah, I think it depends on your mother tongue, maybe. But, anyway, we'll end it there. Very good. Well done. So, let's do maybe 1 or 2 more questions. I have to go relatively soon. I should start packing. But anyway, one question I think is really interesting, and I want to hear your opinion, because for me, I'm biased, because I'm a teacher. Are you ready? Let's have a look. So, having a bilingual, non-native teacher, you know, somebody who is not a native speaker but has learnt the language at a very high level, is better than having a monolingual native teacher. Okay? So, just to make things clearer, for example, you are all studying English. Would you prefer to have an American or a British teacher who doesn't know any other language? They only know English. They've never studied another language, but they're a native speaker. Or would you prefer, for example, if you're Chinese, a Chinese teacher, as in they are Chinese, their nationality is Chinese, but they have studied English to a very high level, yeah? Maybe they're not perfect, but they are very good, right? They've spent years studying abroad. They've lived abroad. They have, you know, foreign friends. They are very good at English. And they've also, you know, they've walked the same path as you. Yeah, they know what it's like to study another language. And, you know, they could probably give you a lot of advice. What do you think? Is having a bilingual teacher better than a monolingual native speaker? Let's have a look. So, Occam's Razor says, I'd prefer a monolingual native teacher. Interesting. Just because you know 100% sure that their English is correct. Interesting. Because she or he might know some cultural different references that foreigners have no idea. Yeah, that's a good point. But I wonder how important these cultural references are for studying the language. Right? It's definitely a plus, and it's an advantage, but I don't know how big or how important that advantage is personally. August says bilingual teachers might be familiar with how languages are acquired. Good point. Hannah, I would choose the latter, the second one. Good job using latter. So you would choose a monolingual native teacher. It matters if you really want to blend into the local. That's a good point. Yeah, because it's not just about the language, you know, the words and the vocabulary, but if you can understand the culture, like for example, British people are very sarcastic and we make a lot of jokes like, ooh, like, look at my new hair, like, I look awesome, don't I? Like, whew, I'm gonna get so many girls. If you have a teacher who makes a lot of jokes, then you can start to understand the difference between when a British person is joking versus when they are serious. But if you went to the UK for the first time and you're trying to make friends and you realize a lot of British people are making jokes and you misunderstand them, like if you didn't know me, or you didn't know British people like to make these sarcastic jokes, then you might think, why is he talking about himself like that? Why is he saying he's so handsome? Ugh. And you might think I'm serious, right? So you might go, bye, see ya. And then it's difficult to make friends, there are misunderstandings and things like that, right? So cultural knowledge, I agree there. Occam's razor, that's a good point. But what was it? But I would choose a native speaker as he knows a lot about his language. Good point, August, yeah. Occam's razor, and like natives may cite a TV show or a lyric or a sentence in their daily... Yeah, that's true. But I would argue, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, okay? By the way, devil's advocate is a really nice phrase to use. I know it in Japanese, sorry. Let me write this here. So we are debating here, right? A lot of you are saying that monolingual native is better. I'm going to play devil's advocate. In other words, I'm going to argue the opposite. Yeah, but it's not necessarily my real opinion. Play devil's advocate. This is a really good kind of, how do I say it? The reason why usually it's better to have someone play devil's advocate to argue the opposite side is because if everyone agrees, that's it. There's no more discussion. There's no need to think more. But if somebody plays devil's advocate, if they're just pretending to have the opposite opinion, then we can start to exchange ideas. Then we can go, oh, but what about this? Ah, that's true, actually. But how about this? It's like, ah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a bit more like, it's more of a productive discussion. Okay? But anyway, going back to playing devil's advocate, I would argue that foreigners, non-native speakers, have a very unique viewpoint when it comes to seeing foreign culture. Have you ever experienced this? There is a foreigner that you've met, maybe they're a friend or a co-worker or something like that, and then you, how do I say it? They ask you, what is great about your culture? And you might think, what's great about my culture? Maybe like the UK fish and chips, the king and the queen. Often we have this stereotypical image of our own country. And people who have never been outside of their own country have a very hard time answering this kind of question because they have a very limited viewpoint. Not because they're stupid or anything like that, but just because they haven't had something to compare with. People who have studied abroad, when they come back to their own country, they realize, oh, yeah, I really appreciate this about my country. Or, oh, I wish we had this in my home country. And things like that. Foreigners have a very unique and almost, I would argue, detailed viewpoint when it comes to that country or that language. And of course, if the non-native speaker is studying English, there's a high chance that they're interested in British or American culture. Meaning, if you ask them, what's special about American culture? And they'll be like, oh, I love this question. So when I went to America for the first time, these things stand out to them. But for natives, it's just like, oh yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah, it's just normal, right? So I think they both have value in this kind of way. Does that make sense? Am I just rambling? And anyway, but cultural reference. Devil's advocate. I don't know if devil's advocate is a cultural reference. Like, when you say cultural reference, I think something like, yeah, sarcasm. It's a part of British culture. Devil's advocate. Where did this phrase come from? Maybe religion, Christianity, but that's a part of culture, I guess. But yeah, interesting. Anyway, and then Benjamin, nice to see you, says it may depend on your level of English. If you're a beginner, bilingual would be better, as the teacher can help you immerse. That's true. Yeah, a bit of support, you know, in your native tongue. Yeah. Many people say that, oh, you should never translate from your mother tongue to the target language. You should never, you know, always 100% English. I disagree. I think after the intermediate level, yes, but everybody's different. Some people get stressed when you go 100% English, and I think the best way is to, again, depending on their level, if they are having a hard time, use a bit of their mother tongue if you can. But you need to know, and again, this is where being a bilingual would be very advantageous, a huge advantage, is knowing which words are easy to translate. Knowing which words are specific to one culture but not another. Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with directly translating the word apple. Let's say I'm studying Japanese and I say, how do I say apple in Japanese? Like, of course, I'm going to use a dictionary. That's totally fine. But if you're on the teaching side, if you are a teacher, knowing that, for example, the word suspect or doubt in Japanese, there's only one word for this. It's the same word. And we guess the meaning based on the context. Yeah. So I will never tell my Japanese student, oh, suspect, it just means utagau. Because I know there's a different nuance. Suspect in English means to believe someone has done something wrong. Doubt is slightly the opposite. It's to believe that someone has said or, you know, lied in some way. Okay? So one's kind of believing something is true. They've done something bad. I suspect he is the killer. I suspect he is a criminal. I suspect he stole the diamond. But doubt is like, I doubt he said that. He wouldn't say that. Yeah, I can't imagine him saying that. Yeah, but in Japanese it's the same. So this is where I think being bilingual, again, if you're always 100% English, you don't need to translate. But I think the reality is, if you know their mother tongue, it can make things smoother for beginners. And if I can make that learning experience a bit smoother for the beginners, yeah, it's not perfect, but at least it will be easier for them to enjoy and move and feel progress at the beginning. But that's just me. Sorry, I'm talking too much. But yeah, Benjamin, overcoming cultural obstacles much easier, definitely. And then Hannah, sometimes native speakers are unaware of something because they're used to it. Exactly. Very good point. As a native Chinese, I do not like to watch local series. Oh, I completely know what you mean, Hannah. If people want to recommend it to me, I can't. But I like British series. Yeah, good point. Exactly. Yeah. If you ask a British person, oh, I want to study British English, like, what's a good British drama? And I might say, I don't watch British dramas. I only watch Japanese dramas. Yeah. By the way, when I think about British dramas, the first one that comes to mind, Downton Abbey, I think is quite famous. This is not British, but Suits is a very popular American one. Friends as well. Doctor Who is British. Anyway. But yeah, we're not alone, exactly. Occam's razor, we got some TV series that are rather well made, but it's just sometimes it can be harder for a foreigner to relate. True. But watching foreign dramas is a great way to learn more about their culture, right? And especially if you have a teacher, a one-on-one private teacher, it's a great starting point for a conversation. Yeah. I was watching a Japanese drama the other day, and what was it? I learned this word. It was quite a unique word. I can quickly show you, and if you know Chinese, you might see this here, but can you see my screen? Something like this. This word here, it says hanashi no koshi o oru. If you look at these Chinese characters, or Japanese, whichever, it's like talk or story, back, and break. Okay? So if we directly translate it, it's like breaking the conversation's back. And it's like, huh? What? So I was able to guess the meaning based on the context, but I asked my teacher, and she said, yeah, that's true. Actually, it does have this meaning. And actually, we have a lot of phrases that use back. And body parts are used a lot in any language, I think. For example, in English, when I think about back, the first idiom that comes to mind is, let me write it here for you guys. What was it? The straw that, is it straw? The straw that broke the camel's back, or something like that, which basically means the final thing, the final trigger of a bad situation. Yeah. So the straw that broke, is it straw? Okay, I cannot teach you something incorrect. So let me quickly, the straw, I never use this, but it is. Okay, so the straw that broke the camel's back, if I give you an example, let's say I'm super stressed. There's a lot of stress building up, you know, bad days, rubbish weather, I lost my earphones the other day. And then finally, one person, my brother, says, by the way, Eric, can you, like, you know, clean up your mess? It's so messy. And maybe he's a bit rude, for example. And I might say, okay, that's it. I've had enough. And I like go nuts. What's the word? Kirechou. I know the Japanese, but not the English. What the? I lose my temper. That's it. I lose my temper. Yeah. I can say my brother making that comment was the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Something like that. Okay? Anyway. So, yes. Let's have a look. Talk, story, back, and break. That's right. By the way, the Japanese phrase I just showed you, that phrase, it means to change the topic suddenly. Yeah, it's like, oh, sorry for changing the topic suddenly, but this is why we use talk, break. It's kind of like breaking the flow of the conversation. But, what was it? Benjamin says, if the target language has a close relationship with your mother tongue, probably monolingual is better, like English, French, and Spanish. Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah. I guess if it's more similar, then you probably don't need so much support because it's, you know, maybe culturally and in terms of the language, more similar. So, good point, Benjamin. Let me take a quick drink before I continue. By the way, this is chrysanthemum tea. Oh, I love this tea. It's absolutely wonderful. But anyway, so, sorry, I've been ignoring the YouTube side. Mio says, I prefer bilingual teachers because they have an experience of learning the second language themselves. I played devil's advocate earlier, But my real opinion, I do actually agree more with Mio. If I had to choose one, I would prefer the, what was it, bilingual teacher, because I really value language learning advice, and knowing that the teacher has walked the same path, knowing that they've been through the same problems for me, I think that's a huge plus. And this is partly from my own experience, because I will say now, if I didn't learn Japanese, even if I don't use Japanese in my lessons, 100% English, it helps me understand my students a lot more. Because I've had the same problems when studying Japanese. I know how nerve-wracking and scary it is to speak, you know, to a stranger. I know how difficult group conversations are in a second language. And often when I give advice, it's advice that I've learned from fixing or overcoming these problems when I studied. So to me, that's personally very important for a teacher. But the tiny little deciding factor. Very true. Eddie, hanashi no koshi o oru is interrupting someone when they're speaking. Yeah, exactly. It's like interrupting them and changing the topic. So losing temper, very good, you know, losing one's temper. Okay. And then, what was it? Elnaz, nice to see you. And Elnaz had a class for a while, so she could only join now, but thank you for coming. Maybe we can take you on stage. Did she just raise her hand? She did. Okay, right. So I'm going to give you some time to think about the topic, but I'm just going to read a few comments and then bring Elnaz on stage, because she did want to come on stage. Benjamin, Chinese words don't have a one-to-one meaning with English words. That's true. I think, again, if the languages are very different, there is a larger percentage of words that cannot be translated. But I would say that most things can be directly translated. Common nouns, car, moon, sun, and things like that. But when you start talking about culture, idioms, and things like that, ooh, that's when it gets a bit difficult. So, Marish, separating couple in the end of the movie is the straw that... Oh, interesting example. I don't quite understand what you mean, Marish, but I'd like you to explain a bit more. Could you tell me more about that? Losing tampon? Do you mean losing temper? Tampon is something completely different. If you say something like, sorry for losing my tampon, probably a lot of people would laugh a lot, and they would probably like look at you thinking, huh? Especially if you're a man. By the way, if you don't know what a tampon is, sorry, let me write losing one's temper. Losing one's temper. In other words, getting angry. Tampon is, how do I say this? It's a thing that a woman uses when it's that time of the month. I think it usually is used to stop the blood, absorbs blood. Does everyone know what I mean? It absorbs blood. Okay? And by the way, that time of the month is a very useful phrase when you want to be more delicate about talking about women. Because, of course, biologically, men and women are different. Okay? And it's very natural. Usually, you know, a few days a month for one part, they will have a time when they start bleeding, you know, there. And a delicate way of saying this is by saying that time of the month. If you want to be more direct, and if you're comfortable with somebody and you don't mind using the proper word, you would say period. Okay? Period. Not talking about time. Well, it's kind of related to time. A period is a time of the month when a woman starts bleeding there, I'm gonna say. Okay? And if you're a woman, you might say, I'm having my period, or you could just say, it's that time of the month. But for men, be careful. I wouldn't say this. I would just say, you know, is everything okay? Do you need anything? Or something like that. I would just avoid saying it altogether. But if they are not there, we might say, oh, you know, it might be good to ask her if she's okay because I think it's that time of the month. That would be the most delicate way of saying it. Okay? But anyway, sorry, why was I talking about this? Oh, yes, because tampon. Right, Occam's razor. It was a joke. I can't tell if it's a joke just from writing, so and I just learned that he's the type of person to make jokes, which is useful information. Interesting. But yes, tampon. Period. That time of the month. But thanks to that joke, we got a few, you know, new vocabulary words. Tampon, period, time of the month, and so on. Okay? But you shouldn't be embarrassed about that time of the month. It's very normal. And if you laugh at somebody saying period or something like that, you can get out of here. Get out of here. Anyway, sorry. Let's move on. Elnaz, I'm going to let you come on stage. Maybe you've had a chance to think about bilingual versus monolingual native teacher. So let's let you on stage. Sorry for taking you so long, Elnaz. Right. Let's have a look. Hello.
Hello.
Elnaz, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, nice to see you too. Thank you.
It's good. And by the way,
I just finished my class.
Oh, you
I just finished my class, yeah, and I joined your live, so I'm happy that I'm here.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here as well. Thank you for joining. And was it? You must be tired because what time is it?
Now is 5:30 p.m. here.
It's not too bad, I guess. Did you have many lectures today?
Not a lot, but my class is 2 hours, and it's a it's a lot. But I'm learning Korean language in Sejong, in Sejong, and my class was that, and I just finished. I'm here.
Great.
Thank you.
So that 2-hour class, was it a Korean class?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, very good.
And
how was it?
I love my classes, and I really enjoy learning new languages, and I really like Korean language too.
There you go. Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? By the way, do you watch a lot of K-dramas?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Actually, I learned Korean myself with myself. Yeah, self-esteem. Yeah, and now for example, to learn better the formulas and some exceptions, and for that I register for this class.
Right, I see. So that means that you are studying both English and Korean at the same time, is that right?
Yeah, but I finished English.
You finished. You're satisfied with the English. That's good.
Yeah, but I never stop learning English. I always try to speak English. Yeah, I was, for example, read English books, and I always try to learn English and new words, new vocabularies. And now I'm here. I really enjoy listening to your lives, and I really learn lots of new words and new idioms. Thank you.
That's good. No, thank you. I mean, you know, not just you. Everybody's so polite. And what was it? I guess yeah, it's great that you've been able to get to the level, and this is the best thing about language. One of the best things, after you get to the intermediate level, when you can become independent, that is, you don't have to study from a textbook, you can just listen to podcasts and learn naturally. Then
Yeah.
you can, focus on other languages like Korean and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome.
And I think one of the questions
Yes.
for this live was about, is language class waste of time? Am I
Very
right?
good.
Am I right?
Yeah, you can answer that if you like. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I think that it's not.
It's not.
Actually, I think when you want to learn a new language, it would be easier and sooner if you go to a language class.
True.
I think you will learn it very well and sooner. And yeah, and I think it's very good that your teacher or that institute schedule for you, and you just go to the class in that time, and yeah, I think and you will learn, for example, the new vocabularies and lots of new things about that language in that time, and you have to learn.
Yeah.
But if you, for example, I learn Korean self-study, and it's long time that I'm learning Korean. Maybe it's about 11 years I'm learning, and listening is really important. It's really important. For example, or you told me instead of using in example, it's better to use in instance.
Oh, you're so close. Not in instance. A different one.
Instant. For instance. Yeah. Yeah. When a child born, he or she just listen, I think. True. And when grow up, he can speak her mother tongue, and I think listening is very important. And I learned Korean by listening. I listen to lots of Korean music and watch movies, and I think that really helps me to learn Korean, and listening is very important. But there is, for example, my Korean, for instance, my Korean is good now, but I can understand Korean. I can read Korean, but my speaking needs to work more on it. I have to speak Korean more, and but if I go Korean class, I'm sure that my speaking and my writing will be good at the same time. But now I have to work more on my Korean writing and Korean speaking.
Exactly. That was a great answer, and I'm glad to hear that you've stuck with studying Korean for so long. And slight side note, really well done using for instance, and I think this is what impresses me about a lot. Not many people can do this, but when people get feedback, a lot of students, including myself sometimes, we don't always review the feedback, right? Or we just forget about it. But, by looking at these mistakes and changing our vocabulary, that's how we grow, right? So really good job for doing that. But,
exactly.
And
thank you.
You mentioned that going to a language school, self-study is difficult. You have to motivate yourself. But if you go to a language school, you have to be there. Maybe you've paid the money and you've got to, work hard, which is great. Let me ask you to develop the conversation a bit more. Would you think that having a group language class, in a language school, is better than a one-on-one private class? What do you think? Like online, sorry.
I think group class it's more helpful for us. And for example, for instance, when someone asks a question, maybe that time it's not my question, but when he or she asks that question, I think about it, and maybe, or for example, maybe for instance, I when I'm doing my homeworks, I have some. A question comes to my mind, and if we were in a group, maybe someone asked that question, so that reminds me, so that day that girl asked this question, so the answer. And I think, and we can in group class, we speak together, we do group works, and yeah, I think helps more to our speaking. Yeah,
definitely.
I think a group is better.
Interesting.
Yeah, and when in private class, you and your teacher is you two is just there, and the questions, maybe you don't think about some questions that and I think group is better.
Yeah,
Group
I
learning.
think those group situations where you get to interact with other language learners, it's a valuable chance. You know, speaking to a non-native speaker, even just an intermediate level speaker, that's better than nothing, right? And,
Yeah.
and in many cases, you will have to speak to other speakers who aren't native, right? Especially when it comes to English. So getting used to solving misunderstandings or like guessing what the other person wants to say, that's another valuable skill that you actually can't always get with just a native one-on-one, class. So very good points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But no, thank you so much, Elnaz. I think I'll have to end it soon. But was there any other comment or question that you wanted to mention before we move on?
No. Thank you for letting me in your live, and I hope I can come on a stage, on your stage too again. Yeah.
I'll be doing it again, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, really good job. I saw you working really hard to change for example to for instance. So now what you have to be careful with is using for instance much more than for example, because of course you want to mix both, right? So but
yeah,
really good job.
Because I use for example, so I'm trying to use for instance instead of for example.
Definitely, exactly. But then you might
I
go
just
the
do
other
my
way. But yeah, really great job as always, Elnaz. Okay. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll hopefully see you in the future. Okay.
Okay, I hope you have a great times in Japan.
Thank
You are
you.
going.
Thank you.
It would be a good memories and
It would definitely be great. Yeah. And,
best wishes for you. Thank you.
And we'll keep in touch, through the live streams. I'm going to stream, hopefully every week in Japan as well. So hopefully, we'll have a lot more discussions in the future, Elnaz. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. So I actually had the chance to talk to Elnaz one-on-one. A few weeks ago, offered free classes, just to get to talk to some of you guys who always come to my live streams, just as a thank you. And I had some private one-on-one lessons with a few people, and Elnaz was one of those people. And as you could see, she was able to fix one of her habits because she reviewed the stuff, and she was very conscious of her mistakes and habits. So really good job, great example. All right, so let's have a quick look at the comments. Occam's Razor, thank you, Eric. You just turned a tasteless joke into something we can benefit from. Love you so much. It wasn't tasteless, but if I were talking to you and you said that on stage, I probably would have a better idea that you were saying it as a joke. But yeah, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. Maybe it was a good thing that I misunderstood it, because then I gave you, you know, this phrase. So nice. All right. A happy accident, we might call it. Oh, let me write that down. Sometimes we say a happy, should I do it in caps? Accident. Or you could say a blessing in disguise. These are both wonderful phrases to use. Yeah. Oh, I made a mistake. There we go. All right. So lots of phrases today, and I'm going to finish very soon, but I will, what do you call it, go through the vocabulary today, because there's quite a lot of useful stuff here. So, all right. And then, what was it? Useful information. Elnas does have a wonderful smile. I think most of you, like, you know, have really energetic, cheerful, nice personalities. Very nice. I thought only Indian people feel embarrassing to talk about periods, but other countries, people too. Definitely. I mean, periods are just a human thing, right? You know, things like sex, periods, the human body, what was it, attraction, and, you know, love. These can all be difficult things to talk about, you know, especially for young teenagers who are growing and going through puberty, yeah. But yeah, it's difficult. Okay, so sorry, I just got a message. But it is interesting, isn't it? When, for example, thank you, Marwish, for that comment. You said, I thought it was only Indian people who felt embarrassed, and so on. The more we get the chance to interact with people all over the world, the more we realize, I don't know about you guys, but personally, I feel that we're more similar than we think. Like, when you've never been abroad, one reason why it's so scary to go abroad is because we think, oh, like, I've never talked to an American person before. I've never talked to a Japanese person. Like, what if they're completely different? What if, like, you know, they laugh at me when I make a mistake, or like things like that? But when you go there, and especially when you become more comfortable speaking the language and you get to know people more, the more you realize we're just people. We're just living creatures on this earth, and we all have the same similar emotions. Now, of course, everyone is different. There are going to be rude people, polite people, people who are completely different to you, but also there will be people who are very similar to you, more than you expect. So I'd say do your best. Try not to be too scared of interacting with foreigners, whether it be on Hello Talk or in real life. You know, go to, if you live in a big city, don't be afraid to go to international meetup events, or like just talking online. Of course, please do be careful, you know, especially if you're young or if you're a woman and you're going, for example, if somebody messages you on Hello Talk and they say, oh, I want to see you, you know, face to face, and you've only known them for 1 week, then of course, use your common sense and be careful. Better safe than sorry. But also have the courage, be brave, and try to interact with more foreigners. Unfortunately, there will be many times where you think, it wasn't that fun, or I didn't find anybody to connect with. But in my opinion, even if you go to an event, an English cafe, 10 times, and you find no one, you don't find anybody you can connect with, if you can find just one good friend or good language partner once out of 10 times, just 10% of the time, I would say that's worth it, because finding a friend, it's like a lifelong relationship, and you know, you have a language partner for the rest of your life, which is a huge, you know, plus. It's not something that we can find so easily. So Be brave. Give it a go. Do your best. Okay? So, what was it? Let's have a look. Some will, some won't. No, it is also an awkward topic. Yep, yeah, Benjamin. Yeah, periods, tampons, it's normal, whatever. I think that's why it's important for not just teachers but people in general to not feel so embarrassed, because everybody's so embarrassed about talking about these things. If the teacher is like, oh, you know, like women have that thing, like once a month, you can feel my anxiety, right? And if I feel anxious or scared, then the student's gonna feel anxious and scared. So that's why I might just say, oh yeah, so the delicate way of saying it is it's that time of the month, but if you want to be direct, you can just say period. But be careful, yeah? So, what was I saying? Sorry. It's because when I look at my screen, there's me, there's YouTube, Hello Talk, the lesson notes, so I'm just like, my brain is overheating right now, so... Okay, I need to finish soon, but anyway. A lot of women in our country even resist using tampon. Ooh. Why is that? Isn't that quite... Is it dangerous or is it just unhygienic? Again, I've never used a tampon, of course, but interesting. Why would women resist using a tampon? Religious reason? No, I don't know. Anyway, that's personal choice. No right or wrong. Exactly. But Elnaz, she was so beautiful. I assume you're talking about Elnaz. I really liked her hair. She had like a blonde kind of... I don't know what you call it. Is it a highlight? No. Highlights are when you dye the tip, the end of your hair. But the root is the same color. What do you call it when you like... Was it an accessory? Elnaz, can you teach us? How did you... Like, what is it called? How did you do your hair like that with the one strand of blonde hair? That was really cool. I was going to say it, but I didn't want to break the back of the conversation. By the way, we don't say that. We don't say that. Anyway. Are you Chinese? Is that Elnaz or me? Because I am, well, ethnically I'm Chinese, but nationality I'm British. There is an animation. Its name is Turning Red. It's about periods and changes in girls' feelings. Ooh, interesting. Maybe I'll watch that. Because, of course, you know, it's always good to learn about the opposite sex. When we have, like, sex education in school, we talk about our own sex, of course, but we don't learn about the opposite sex so much. And often, you will learn about the opposite sex most when you have a partner, a girlfriend or a boyfriend. So, but there's nothing wrong with learning early, you know, before you get to that point. Turning Red. I'll look that up. Thank you. Eric is the happiest and most energetic. I don't know if I'm happy or energetic. Well, okay, yeah, I pretend to be. But then, by pretending, sometimes I do become, like, genuinely really happy and energetic. So, sometimes it's just an act, and sometimes it's an act that becomes reality. Is that the right word? I don't know. August, agree 100%. It's face frame. Oh, is that what you call it? Partial hair dye, amber, lots of words here. The name of this hair color is face frame. That's a very strange name, face frame. I think face frame, something like this. Not that one. Like, there's a frame around my face, right? Anyway. So, amber, ombre, meaning you give your hair color a fade. There's a video on YouTube where guys thought girls stick pads directly on the V. Wait, sorry. Pads and tampons are different. Pads are like... I'm trying to imagine. What are pads? Pads are like... Okay, This is where everybody's going to know that I know nothing about women. Okay, I believe pads are like a sheet. Similar, same function as tampons, but I don't want to say it's like a diaper. That's a really weird image. I just imagine an adult woman with a diaper. Pads. And I don't want to Google how to use pads because, one, my Google search history will then be ruined. You know, my brother comes to check my PC and then they check my history. How to use pads. And they think, what the? Anyway, pads. Okay, I'm very curious now. Yeah, it's kind of, of course, it's not a diaper, but it's like, there we go. Tampons versus pads. Is one better than the other? Yeah. So I'm not going to ask anyone how do you use pads, but I would be lying if I said I'm not curious. Because, of course, it's just, is it general knowledge? Well, it's general knowledge for women, but please educate us men here. If it's not personal, of course you don't have to say it, but just as a learning moment for us men here, because luckily we have a lot of women in the audience who can teach us. But how do you use pads? Oh my gosh, what has this stream become? Sorry, where is? Okay, hello talk. Right. Ombre is how it's pronounced. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Amelia. Pads are long sheets with a sticky back that you put on your pants. Do you have sisters? No, I don't, and that's why I don't know. Maxi pad. Eric doesn't know. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. Like, my mother really wanted a girl. So she had my 2 older brothers, and she tried one more time, and unfortunately, I was like, hello. And she was very unfortunate. She lost the lottery that day. But yeah, I was a boy. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, so I know nothing about girls. So people say tampon is better because it sucks more thoroughly. When you say suck, okay, right. Be careful. Suck is not the right word. Thank you for giving that comment though, Occam's Razor. A very useful learning moment. Suck is this, using your mouth. So you use a straw to suck a drink. But when you're talking about a natural event, like when a liquid goes into a sponge or like a pad, we'd say absorb. Okay? Absorb. So just be careful. Suck the blood. Oh, a good example, sucking blood, vampire, yeah? They bite into your neck and they go, I will have your blood. That was the worst. I'm trying to do the vampire. What accent do they have? It's like, I will suck your blood. Anyway, I think it was from a cartoon I got that accent. But I'm terrible at doing accents, by the way. But a vampire will suck your blood with their teeth and their mouth. But the pad will absorb naturally, yeah? This is what we call transitive versus an intransitive verb, okay? This is like jargon that you don't need to know, but suck is transitive, meaning it's an action, it's something someone does. The vampire sucked my sister's blood. So I put garlic in his eyes, or something like that. Yeah. The vampire sucked my sister's blood, so I got some garlic, and I put it in his eyes so he couldn't see. But, oops, wrong one. Absorb is Intransitive is something that just naturally happens. There's no subject. Well, okay, there's no subject is not the correct way, but the sponge or the pad absorbed all of the blood or something like that. Okay? So the vampire sucked my sister's blood. There is a subject and an object, something like that. But here there is only the subject. Is that the right way of saying it? But anyway, yeah, I won't go into the grammar again. Grammar is my weak point. But something like that. Okay, so suck using your mouth, absorb naturally. Like it goes into the pad. Okay. Going back to the story of tampons. People coming into this live stream now, looking at me, like imagine they don't know what's going on right now. They didn't hear anything before this conversation. And they just hear me saying, so yeah, pads absorb blood, but the vampire will suck the blood. And they'll think, what the is this person talking about? Anyway, I've learned a lot today. Thank you guys. Thank you women for teaching me so much about women. Like, this is very educational, and I'm going to tell my mum. I'm going to be like, Mum, I know about periods. Okay, this is not a conversation I would have with my mother, but anyway. Interesting question. Would you guys feel comfortable talking about sex, periods, and all of these things with your parents? I think most people probably wouldn't. It would be like, ew, what? No, never. Oh, get out of here. But anyway. So, going back to tampons, Occam's razor, whereas a pad just holds all the blood and it might cause an allergy. Interesting. Is that true? Absorbs. Very good. I can tell Eric wants to laugh. I'm always laughing. Women get sensitive, emotional, and moody at that time of the month. I mean, yes. But that's not... How do I say it? I'm being very careful here. You can see I'm choosing my words very carefully because I don't want to say anything rude. But what was it? When men say like, oh, it's her time of the month, so she will be quite moody, in other words, emotional, and even just generally, women are more emotional. That's debatable. I'm not sure I agree with that 100%. But from psychology, after studying psychology in university, I would say that when we say emotional, do we mean they show emotion more openly? Or are we saying they experience more emotions or have more emotions? Because when you're having these debates, it is very important to understand the definition, especially with natives. Because even when you speak to a native, a simple word like emotional, people might understand it in different ways. For example, showing emotion and experiencing emotion are two completely different things, right? Because men, I think we can all agree, men and women both experience emotions. Sadness, anger, and so on. But men are not so ready to open up and share their emotions with others. Yeah, especially other men. And this is, related to gender stereotypes, being strong and masculine and things like this, right? So when we say women are more emotional, we have to be very clear about the definition, right? And this is not just this topic, but any time you have a debate or an argument or any deeper discussion about a topic, make sure you both agree on the meaning of the key words, okay? And this is also very good practice to avoid misunderstandings, because I will say most arguments usually occur or happen because of a misunderstanding, just because they do not agree on the definition of a certain word, right? Because if I say that, you know, women are more emotional, and I mean they show more emotion, but the other person says, no, they're not more emotional, they experience the same things, we're already talking about two different things. So we can't have a productive conversation. And if you're not calm and relaxed, you might even start having an argument. Not a fight. That's not what I mean. I mean just like, you know, clashing opinions. But there we go. What was I talking about? Michael, where is your friend? They are somewhere else, you know, they're at home. We experience and we will show naturally. Exactly. So personally, I do think women are emotional at that time of the month, but that's just because of hormones. Like, it's not their fault. And I think we as men just need to be understanding. Of course, that's not to say if a woman gets angry at a man and they are on their period, it doesn't always mean it's okay. You know, words still hurt, and to some extent we should control our emotions, but also men also have to be more understanding and patient and say like, okay, I know you didn't want to say that, I know it's that time of the month, sorry, I shouldn't have said this or done that. So I think it's both sides. It's always a two-way relationship, right? So Occam's razor, it has to do with what you resort to when you interact with other people. I'm not sure exactly what you mean there. Some people rely on logical thinking, knowledge, and common sense. Oh, very true, actually. Yeah, I see what you mean now. So do you think logically or do you think emotionally? Now, men, I think this is proven by psychology, but men tend to be a bit more rational and logical. And that's not saying that women are not, but it's, we tend to, for example, when a woman or a man has a problem and they ask for somebody to listen, men are much quicker to try and give advice. They think, oh, they have a problem, let's solve it. How can we solve it? Okay, here's my advice. But for women, they tend to, again, they don't always want advice. Sometimes they just want somebody to listen. And actually, sorry, that's not just women, but men and women, sometimes we don't need advice. Sometimes we just want somebody to understand that we're having a difficult time, right? I don't need to know about all of your advice because of your 10 years of experience in, I don't know, building tables. I just want you to know that I had a bad day, I'm stressed, and I hate tables, or something like that, right? So communication styles and understanding what works in some situations is very difficult. So yeah. Elnaz, the only thing I can tell my dad about that time of the month is that I have a backache. Interesting. Wait, do periods affect or give you like backaches? I've heard you can get muscle pain, but I didn't know you could get a backache. Interesting. There you go. Alessia. You didn't have to send the gift, but thank you. I don't know how long you've been here for, Alessia, but I've learned a lot about the female body today. Oh gosh. Anyway, so what was it? Yes, because of hormones. I'm so embarrassed about these kinds of topics that I can't talk about them comfortably. It's difficult, isn't it? And this is why I also think that having a private teacher you can trust, there's a big advantage over having a group language school type of lesson. And that's, you can have a talk about these private topics. Yeah, because in reality, when you go abroad, you're going to need to talk about these kinds of things sometimes. Yeah, especially, you know, bleeding. If you don't have a tampon or you're having a period, it can be a very stressful thing, I imagine. It's embarrassing, and then your clothes get dirty. So it's useful to know the word tampon, pad, period, that time of the month, and so on. So it is embarrassing, but if you can find a teacher that you trust, of course, if you're a woman, then you can ask a woman, or if you're very comfortable, then you can talk to a man about this if you really trust them. But yeah, like, it's just, I wish in a perfect world there would be no embarrassing issues. There would be no controversial topics that we would avoid. Yeah, because in school they often tell you never talk about religion, like your finances, money, or like sex. But in real life, we need to talk about these things. We shouldn't feel embarrassed, but it's normal to be embarrassed. So that's one reason why I don't want to work for a language school when I go to Japan. Heck, if I were doing a sponsored live stream for like some company, there's no way I would be talking about periods and tampons right now. So the fact that I have the freedom to do this as a freelancer and somebody who's not sponsored by any big company, that's a big plus, right? Because I don't think we should be embarrassed, and we should have these discussions, even if they're a bit controversial or embarrassing, right? But I hope you guys were able to learn something today. But you know, you teach me about the female body, I teach you about some words and delicate ways of describing these things. Anyway, but even now that you're talking about these topics, I'm embarrassed. But it's okay, Elnaz, right? Because you can just listen, right? No one can see your face. Heck, if anything, I'm the one who should be embarrassed, because I'm showing everybody I know nothing about women. So, yeah, there you go. Or maybe I'm just pretending. Maybe I'm pretending not to know to get you guys to tell me more, you know, English speaking. Now, okay, 100% not going to lie. Sometimes I pretend not to know something, especially when it comes to like Japanese culture, because my students are Japanese. They will ask me, "Oh, today was this festival. Do you know this festival?" And if I say, "Oh yeah, I know," finished. There's nothing to explain because I know, right? So actually asking people to explain or teach me something is a great way of, you know, making them speak. Today, did I really know about pads, tampons, and periods? Well, I'll let you guess that. Hey, I'm a smart boy. Maybe I did know. By the way, that thing where I just winked, I would never do that in real life. Well, maybe if I'm teaching as a casual thing, but if I did that to like a young female as a teacher, oh my gosh, see you later. I would lose my job. But anyway. Yes, that's true. What? Alessia's like, what the heck? I've missed a lot. You have, Alessia. It's been a crazy stream. It's been a roller coaster. But thank you for explaining these topics so well and normalizing and, of course, creating culture. No, thank you. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I worry about when talking about these topics is, you know, offending somebody, saying something rude. But I hope that people understand that if I, you know, say something in the wrong way or it sounds a bit offensive, that I hope you understand that I didn't mean it. Of course, sometimes I might have a controversial opinion or things like that. But sometimes I just choose the wrong words and people get offended. But at the same time, some people are just sensitive. Some people get offended very easily. And if somebody came into the stream with no context and they heard me say, yeah, women are just so emotional, they might think, oh, who is this guy? What a terrible person. They might take it the wrong way, and that's fine. It's just unfortunate and it can't be helped. But I think we as humans, we tend to judge people very quickly. And I think we need to be more patient, or at least listen to their reasons and answers before we make a judgment. But unfortunately, especially if it's a topic that's very close to your heart, if you've had a very terrible experience or something like that, this can bring a lot of emotions to the surface for both men and women, and that causes us to react very quickly. Yeah. It's always much easier to listen patiently about a topic that we're not passionate about. But when we're passionate about something and it's very important to our values and things like that, we're much quicker to jump in and say, but wait, not sure about that. And this is why debates of very smart people who are passionate and know a lot about a subject, they often do turn into arguments. And it's just difficult to separate, logic and emotion and be patient because we're so passionate about these things. But anyway. Hannah says, you're welcome, teacher Eric. We can teach you more. Teach me more about the female body. Ooh, one day we should do a question. Oh, I'm going to write this down. This will be interesting. Is there anything you have always wanted to ask to the opposite sex? You always think like, do boys really talk about girls in the locker room? Or like, do girls really, how do I say it? Have you ever seen when men, they sit with very wide legs? Like, as a woman, you might be curious, why do men sit like that? Like, it might be quite interesting because, again, you can ask me anything. Maybe not about, my personal information, like where do you live? But this is a free space if you're curious. I mean, I'm curious about how women work and just things I should know, common knowledge. Well, maybe not common knowledge. But how do I say it? It's okay to be curious about these things that we never talk about. So this is a good chance. Where was it? What a class I've missed. Oh my goodness. I agree. Hi, teacher. Oh, be careful. Nice to see you. And then, oh, some people know each other. Don't tell me I've missed a lot. Don't worry. You can watch the rest on YouTube. It's all recorded, so it's fine. And then, Hello Talk live time limit is running out. No worries. Thank you so much, Elnas. Take care. And you can find the YouTube link so you can continue watching there. Okay? What was it? I don't want to read. There are a lot of nice compliments. I don't want to read all of them because it sounds like I'm saying oh, I didn't see this comment. Oh, Eric is so handsome. Thank you very much. Or that was terrible. Again, I'm being sarcastic. But yeah. Or else it's gonna grind the meat. What is grind the meat? Leah, men can manspread as much as they want, as long as they're not getting in my personal space. Or Leah, well said. By the way, manspreading means to kind of how do you say it? Spread your legs, because down there it's a bit uncomfortable, or it's like everything's too cramped. Okay, that's generally why people manspread. Interestingly, manspread is a very new phrase. And there's also a phrase called mansplaining, which basically means like when a man explains something to a woman in a like overly simplistic way. In other words, looking down on the intelligence of a woman. Because, you know, men and women, the IQ and intelligence is generally the same. But for some reason, I guess maybe because men, you know, it's a patriarchal society. In other words, society has been generally dominated by men. You know, CEOs tend to be men. Nowadays it's changing slowly, which I think is good. But in many ways things are biased towards men, and as a result there have been new words to kind of talk about gender equality. And one of those things is mansplaining, where a man, because they're the CEO or the manager, they think they're smarter than everyone, not just women, but many people. But they tend to say like, oh, you don't know because you're a woman. Let me explain. That's a very direct example of mansplaining. Yeah. But then the problem is some women who are overly sensitive will just like assume or believe that like, are you mansplaining right now? Pfft, get out of here. And then maybe they didn't have that intention, but you know, again, it's difficult. So I mean, you put two legs close together, it's gonna feel info. What do you mean by info? What was it? You're very handsome. I was gonna say this, didn't want to sound flirty. Be careful, please. Give me more compliments. I will take compliments every day, all day. Please. No. Some people say that men don't receive enough compliments. I don't know if that's true, but like one thing I have noticed is I've gotten a lot of compliments about my voice since I started teaching and live streaming and things like that. And I used to hate my voice. Actually, you know, everybody, when you record your voice on the thing, you go, oh, who is that? Oh, that's me. My voice just, and things like that. But I've come to appreciate my voice, thanks to you guys, thanks to my students and everyone. So, yeah, I think compliments are really nice. Sorry. I'm usually the one who gives compliments to my students. But when live streaming, because usually I'm the one talking, you guys get a chance to listen and give me feedback. And I do get a lot of comments on my voice. So thank you very much for any comments, gifts, but most of all, thank you for just attending, taking part. And you giving me lots of comments makes my job. I don't want to say job because I would never, by the way, if you ask me in real life, what do you do? I would just say, I'm an English teacher. I would never say I'm a YouTuber or a live streamer because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. People might think, YouTube, whoa, how many subscribers do you have? I say like 2, 3. I don't know why I said 2 and then did this. Sorry, 2, 3. Or like, how many people watch your live streams? And I would say 40. Well, actually, 40 is a good number. I'm very, thankful for this number. But at the same time, numbers aren't everything. So everybody likes to be complicated. Exactly. Do you watch your own lives on YouTube? Good question. Actually, I don't. generally. Sometimes these days, thinking about YouTube, I want to make more short videos where I'll have a short clip of a funny moment or something like that, and you know, just to put it on YouTube. But these days I've just been so busy. So normally I do not watch recordings of my live streams. But because I want to start taking clips, I will have to. So, yeah. Yeah, we all know men don't like to be complimented. No, be careful, that's not true. We men love compliments. But we just don't always get them. But anyway. But on the flip side, I feel like being a woman is difficult because you get so many compliments that you don't know which ones are real, because many men will flatter you just so that they can dive into your underwear and sleep with you. But yeah, it's just like when a guy compliments you and say, "Oh, you're looking so nice. I love your hair. Wow, you go girl," or something like that. I would think, no, even just watching that as a guy, I would think, ugh. Yeah, no thanks. But anyway, so Occam's razor, English learners in our country crave the British accent, and you have a cute face. Oh, thank you very much. Am I kawaii? Oh, I really hope my mother does not watch this. The other day when we did a live stream about when we had the podcast with my two friends here, my mum said, she sent me a message. She said, "Oh, your live stream was so interesting." I was like, "Wait, you watched?" And I know that she sometimes watched my YouTube videos. But like, yeah, I was like, "Oh, fudge. I need to like be careful with what I say." So if my mother is watching this right now, talking about tampons, periods, I know nothing about women, and like, "Oh, am I kawaii?" Like, oh gosh. Maybe I should be more careful. Anyway. Alright. So, let's read some final comments and then finish, I swear, because this has been going for 3.5 hours. Okay. So, Franco, is it okay to talk about female topics in the UK, or it's weird? Depends on who you're talking to. Now, yes, I wouldn't talk about female topics like with a person who you've just met. But generally, yeah, I would say it's okay. It totally depends on the person and how embarrassed or comfortable they feel. Because regardless of culture, I think generally most people are embarrassed about talking about these things. So, Hannah, the topic, Teacher Eric, the topic you mentioned just now is necessary. What? What topic? Can you remind me? Because of course, there's a time delay. You never lied about that. About what? Oh my gosh. Your mom watched your live. Yeah. The new Gen Z don't actually look at such topics as taboo topics, at least based on what I observed as a teacher in a pretty conservative country. Interesting. It might be a generational thing. Yeah, very good point. Not sure it's because they know better or they just don't care. Good point. Maybe they just don't care. Yeah, like women, huh? Yeah, they're nice, I guess. Like that's usually what you get, right? When you ask a young boy. Again, sorry, I'm being careful with my words. One student I talked to, again, I will not, of course, say names, but one of my students is a university student. We were talking about girls because I said, "How's university life? You know, did you meet anybody new?" I said, "Yeah, well, university's nice." And I was like, "Did you meet any girls?" And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Yes." Wait, that's big news, isn't it? And he said, you know, and I was like, why are you so relaxed about this? Like, it's a, you know, are you interested in her? And he was like, yeah, I quite like her. And I was like, why are you so calm? Like, if it were me, like, maybe his definition of like is different, but in the UK, when you like someone, of course, there are different levels. Like, you don't have to be like love at first sight and head over heels, but like romance. I don't know what to say. I just feel like maybe it's just me. I'm a romantic. Like, when I fall in love with someone, of course, I'm not crazy. I'm not like, oh, I wonder how she feels about me, or like, I wonder what her favorite type of coffee bean is. Like, I'm not obsessive, though some of you might doubt me. Some of you might be thinking, yeah, I think Eric's crazy. He's loopy. Woo! But anyway, I'm gonna go off topic again, so let's leave it there. Let's cut it. But thank you. Hannah, you mentioned that we're going to have a live talking about the questions that you want to raise. Oh, I see. That's what you're talking about. Yes. I'll write it in my notes and I'll put the title, Everything You Want to Know About Male and Female Bodies, or something like that. I don't know. Some catchy title. Occam's razor. The same thing happens in our country when primary school kids start dating. Okay, when you say dating, is it really dating? Because primary school children, they're just like, their understanding of dating and a relationship is very different, right? Like, for them, I don't know, sharing their lunch might be a sign of love. Like, I never share my lunch, but for you, you can have a little bit of chicken. I love you. Like, that's how they show love, right? You can have my chicken or something like that. But for adults, it's a bit more complex. But anyway. All right. I'm going to have to finish there because I have to have lunch and I think one of my friends is waiting for me. So, am I Korean? I am not, but some people might think that because of my new hairstyle. What do you guys think? Do I look pretty? Okay. I really have to stop acting so much because I'm starting to make myself feel very weird. Especially if I watch these recordings again, I'm gonna look at myself doing this and acting and thinking, man, you're so stupid. So, good question, be careful. I will have my next live stream probably not next week because, one, I'll be moving and going around Japan. I have a few events where I'll be taking part in a few English events where, well, I can't say too much, but it's like there'll be university, high school students talking about social issues, and I'll be a facilitator. In other words, because I can speak Japanese and English, I will be like starting the discussion in groups, like mixing Japanese to make them feel comfortable and then pushing them to speak more English. So I have a few workshops that I will be attending in Tokyo, but after next week, so in 2 weeks' time, I will start streaming it again. I plan to. Again, it depends on how good the internet is at my new accommodation, so we'll see, but I'll keep you guys updated on the moments and YouTube side and everything like that. Okay, all right, any final questions? Thank you, Occam's razor. I am British but ethnically Chinese and Malaysian. Very good, well remembered. Oof. So yeah, okay, all right. And I will, again, there will be more events once I settle into Japan. I'm gonna do more events with speaking. So I talked about it before. Not so many people were interested, unfortunately, but slowly there's more interest. I'm gonna host a speaking classroom where anybody can join. We will do it in Microsoft Teams. And we will have these debate topics on many different things. Sometimes I'll give you, you know, a fun question like, are you a cat person or a dog person? And you can just, you know, share your opinions one-on-one. So I'll split you all into pairs. And then, you know, as we get warmed up, we'll move into more difficult conversations like, how is education in your country? You know, how are your personal experiences and things like that? And we'll change partners so that maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, every 15 minutes we'll change partners. So you get a chance to find new language partners and just, you know, practice feeling less nervous and just diving into a conversation, because even in real life, we can't do that. Yeah, so hopefully this will be a valuable practice session for you guys. You don't need to pay any money. You just need to send me a message if you are interested, okay? And then in 2 weeks, when I get some time, I will send you guys a link. I will tell you the date and time, and then I'll send you a link just before we start, okay? So I think that's about it. The vocabulary. Today we had a lot of words. So before we finish, I'm going to, go through the vocabulary today. So let's test how much did you guys remember about the female body and other English words. All right, so, oh, I can't show you. First question. What do we call an umbrella that we use for the sun? What do we call an umbrella that we use for the sun? Any ideas? 3, 2, 1. Very good. It is parasol. Well done, Hannah and Leah. Good job. And then when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, you know, I got super messy hair and it's sticking up like this, what do we call this kind of hair just after you wake up? We might say, oh, be careful, you have... Very good. The same 2 people. Wonderful. These guys are just too great. I have to say, Hannah and Leah, maybe I'm going to have to ban you from answering because you're too quick. No, I'm joking. But yes, bed hair is the correct answer. Very nice. Well done. Okay, next one. What do we call something living but is usually like in books and fantasy, generally not real, but maybe they're real, we don't know. But things like elves, trolls, if you watch Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, all of these things, Pegasus, unicorn, these are very good creatures. Very good creatures, yeah, very nice. And then we had a few things. This was, okay, when we have a discussion and debate, sometimes I might take the opposite position, even if I don't really have that opinion, just to, you know, move the discussion. So I might say, interesting, let me, what do you think about this? Very good, well done, good job, guys. Play devil's advocate, good job. And then if I get angry, let's say, you know, slowly a lot of stress over the day, and then one final thing, the straw that broke the camel's back, I would... What's another word for, like, suddenly getting angry? Any ideas? Oh, so the straw that broke the camel's back is like the final trigger of a bad situation. But what's another word for like getting angry? Like, I'm really sorry for... I'll give you a clue. Losing is the first word. Losing or lose. Any idea? 3, 2, 1. It is losing your temper. Very good. Be careful. I'm talking about the name. I'm not saying be careful. Be careful said losing my mind. Now, That's not correct, but very close. Good guess. And thank you for commenting that. Be careful. If you lose your mind, it means you go crazy. Go nuts, in other words, right? Like, I've been streaming for 4 hours now, and I'm losing my mind. I'm talking about, like, periods. I'm talking about sex. Like, am I going nuts? Am I losing my mind? Or something like that. Okay? Good job. And then what do we call this spongy white? Again, I'm not sure what color it is. The thing that a woman uses when it's their period to absorb the blood. Tampon. Very good. And if it's not the stick thing, if it's like a kind of a wider, almost like a tissue or a diaper almost, then that is called a pad. Very well done. And I'm glad to see it's not just the women, but the men are also getting involved and saying these words. Really nice. Good job. Okay, and period is very direct. Yeah? So what's an elegant or a more delicate way of saying she is on her period? Any idea? Very good. Well done, guys. Oh, you guys are like perfect students. If I had a classroom right now and all of you were here giving me these answers, like at the end of the day, I would just be like, oh, I love teaching. But anyway, I do love teaching generally anyway, but anyway, sorry. So, very good. And final thing, if a pad absorbs blood, naturally it just absorbs blood. What do we call it when somebody or something goes, for example, using a straw, you might using your mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very good. Good job. It is suck. Okay? To suck the blood from a human. Yeah, the vampire is a scary creature that sucks blood from humans. Or maybe anything, actually. But here we go. So we have all of these words today. Parasol, bed hair. Oops. We have like deja vu, creature. Play devil's advocate, the straw. This one is not so common, so I would say you don't need to know it. Losing one's temper, very useful. Ah! Wrong button, sorry. This is a bug. Here we go. Okay, and then happy accident, blessing in disguise. These are nice phrases. Suck and absorb. Okay, don't worry. I'm going to send these on my moments as usual and YouTube and stuff like that. Okay. All right. Thank you guys very much for joining today. I hope you had a nice time. I definitely had a wonderful time, you know, listening to your guys' answer and having this conversation with you. So thank you so much, guys. As always, I will always say this, but thank you so much for joining the live stream, teaching me about your cultures and the female body today. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you, the next time I see you will be in Japan. Probably in 2 weeks' time. I probably won't have time to live stream next week. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the world this time. But these live streams, my background might change, but I'll have more stories to tell, I'll have more things to show you, and we'll have the same kind of live stream as before. So please take care. Hetty says, my first time experiencing this kind of next level class. Next level, very nice phrase. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, Occam's Razor, Hannah, Be Careful, August, Mio, and everyone else, Knots, Linda, all of the people who took part today. I can't say everyone's name, but thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Man, I am starving. Bye, guys. All right. And then on the YouTube side, end stream. Thank you on the YouTube side. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye for now.